want beef like hyena. Some gala get kicked up Serena. The gala get loud, the gala get wild. Some gala take shots like tequila. Hypo, hypo. It's too much. Show my joys. Flourish and multiply forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Yeah. Hey, hey. Yeah. Unajifanya hunioni labda mimi John Cena. Ulinifanya mfungwa wako labda mimi Madiba. Sina plan, sina cash, hata pesa misina. Endo mano unanitreat kama nimekuibia. Lakini mimi nimekupenda though. I don't know why you treat me like a criminal. Eish, we were just together though. On the same line, why presidential though? Some man I act rough like John Cena. Some man I get buff like John Cena. We used to be cool when I used to come through. Now you wanna act tough like John Cena. G hyper G. Some gala want beef like hyena. Some gala get beat up Serena. The gala get loud, the gala get wild. Some gala take shots like tequila. Hyper Hi G. Unajifanya mwalimu wangu labda we ni Nyerere. Nanfundisha kutulia labda huna kelele. Takarika na Belinda hata mimi mwenyewe. Ungependa situlia kati we unaenda mbele. Lakini mimi nimekupenda though. I don't know why you treat me like a criminal. Eish, we were just together though. On the same line, why presidential though? Some man I act rough like John Cena. Some man I get buff like John Cena. He used to be cool when I used to come through. Now you wanna act tough like John Cena. Hey, G. Some gala want beef like hyena. Some gala get beat like Serena. Hey, ha, hey. Some gala take shots like tequila. Get it down. G. Hi, bo. G. Hey, G. Alright, T-Boy the flame. DJ exit. You guys did a lot here. No, it's too much. Kwanza, cheza kama we hutaki. Pili, kata kama mishkaki. Tatu, ingia hapa katikati. Toka jasho unaloa kama ni samaki. Cheza kama we hutaki. Kata kama mishkaki. Ingia hapa katikati. Toka jasho unaloa kama ni samaki. Shisha. G. Get it? Some man I act rough like John Cena. Some man I get buff like John Cena. You used to be cool when I used to come through. Now you wanna act tough like John Cena. G. Some gala want beef like hyena. Some gala get kicked up Serena. The gala get loud, the gala get wild. Some gala take shots like tequila. Hypo. It's too much. Show my joys. Flourish and multiply forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Yeah. Hey, hey.
Good afternoon, good evening. Those who are joining us from outside Ghana, I want to welcome all of you to the second section of this data hackathon. So today we are going to have series of demos on the various data analytics tools and how you can use them to analyze and visualize the data. Can someone confirm if you can hear me?
Yeah, you can hear it, Thomas.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay, so as I mentioned, today we are going to have demos on the various tools that we use in analyzing and visualizing data. So we're going to look at how we can use Power BI to analyze and visualize data. Then we are also going to have a section on how you can use Tableau to be able to get insights from data. So today we are going to work with three speakers or three facilitators. So I'm going to introduce our first presenter or first facilitator for today, who is going to take us through Power BI and how you can use Power BI to analyze and get insight from data. But before we do that, I want all of us to introduce ourselves in the chat box. So just your name and where you are joining us from. And probably you can share your LinkedIn profile as well. So those of us who want to take this networking platform to the next level, we can also get interacted on LinkedIn as well. So I'm putting in my name and then the link to my LinkedIn profile. So you can also get in touch there. So so your name, where you are joining us from, and then the link to your LinkedIn account. So you can also get interacted afterwards. Okay, so we have Makonda, who is joining us from Sweden, and he has shared his LinkedIn profile, so we can also get in touch with him. So we also have Monica from Australia, whose LinkedIn is here. Then we also have Paul, who is joining us from Accra. Then we have Krishna, who also joined us from India. Then we also have Fayambi, who is also joining us from India. Okay, so we have Evans from Kenya. Okay, okay. Now, so let's go ahead and then introduce our speaker for today. Then we can get started with Power BI. So this section is going to be on how you can get started with Power BI and then how you'll be able to analyze and visualize data using Power BI. So Power BI is one of the powerful tools that data analysts use to get insight from data. So let me check. Okay. Okay, I'm giving. So now let me introduce our speaker for today. So today we are going to have someone from Nestle Ghana, who works as the regional costing analyst or specialist. And today is going to share his journey with us, how he uses Power BI at work, and then how he can also help us to get started with Power BI. For those of us who are yet to start our journey with Power BI, he's also going to take us through how you'll be able to do that. So guys, help me welcome Pa Kwesi Opoku Nimako, who works at Nestle Ghana as a regional costing analyst or costing specialist. So he's going to guide us through how you can begin our journey with Power BI. So Pa Kwesi, if you are around, kindly take over. But before we start the section, I would like to engage you more on what you do with Power BI at work. Then you can share your experience with Power BI before we can start with the section.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Pa, we can hear you. Okay,
so good afternoon, good evening, depending on your location. My name is Pa Kwesi. I'm in Nestle. Power BI is part of us now in Nestle, and it's a powerful tool. So we use Power BI to do a lot of things, okay, to do price checks, to do sense checks, to do reportings, to check our COX evolution, to check our monthly reporting on salaries, emojis, everything. Like Power BI is basically now the main tool of analytics, okay? It's taking over business intelligence. That's Webby. I don't know if anyone knows of Webby, but Power BI is a Microsoft package. So if your company has already access to 365, then it's a good opportunity because it's part of the Microsoft package, okay? And it's free. It's a desktop use, so anyone, anywhere can just download Power BI and start using it. And there are various ways of learning Power BI, so it makes it very interesting and interactive. Okay, so and there's daily updates. So this tool is always been updated day in and day out. So Power BI is very useful in my organization. We use Power BI a lot in terms of analyzing not only visualization. A lot of people think Power BI is only about visualization. No, it's used for analyzing too. Okay, some colleagues in my office use it as their data source. Okay, so they try and bring all Excel sheets together in Power BI using the Power Query in the Power BI so that they have a minimal size of their files. Okay, so some people also use it as their database for a lot of files so that they don't have huge volumes of files. Okay, so far so good. I've been using Power BI for almost 3 years now. When I was first introduced to it, it looked like we were only doing charts with Power BI and not knowing that there's a lot of things in Power BI. You can learn DAX, you can do formatting, like anything you do in your Excel, you can do it in Power BI. So now Power BI is the way to go for now. So from my side, I use Power BI a lot in terms of building reports and making reporting easy for management view too. You can use that to win managers in terms of reporting. You don't need to give them the file and explaining the figures. You can use visualization in Power BI. You can export it to PDF. You can also share it to managers that they can just click on it and see your reporting. So Power BI is the get to go now. So far so good in Power BI. About 3 years now. Yeah.
Okay, Pa Kwesi, thank you for the insights. So let me give you access so you can take us through how we can get started with Power BI.
Sure. Okay, so mine is to just whet your appetite on Power BI. Mine is to make sure you feel that Power BI is useful. Mine is to make sure that you ensure that you can use Power BI. Okay, so after my session, there will be another session on in-depth on Power BI. So I will take you through some Power BI, what Power BI is. You need to understand what Power BI is and some basics you need to know for Power BI. I have 1 hour. If time permits that, we'll also go through the way of uploading files and try and change some of the formats. So I'm sharing my screen. Let me know if you can. First of all, it says that host disable participants share screen. Can you give me access again? Hello?
Yeah, hello, Pakwesi. You can continue.
Yeah, can you give me access? I'm unable to share my screen.
I've given you. Okay. So kindly try sharing your screen.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I think I can. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Sure, you can see now.
Okay. Okay, so just a PPT about myself. This is, small, 4.5 years in Nestle, 1 year in HR controlling, and 2 years in costing. Okay, those are my favorite programs. Dragons, then I like analytics, football, and also love teaching. Okay, so we start with the overview of Power BI. Hope everybody can hear me and can see my screen. Okay, so basically, this is the overview of Power BI. You know, Power BI is a collection of software service, okay, an app, and connectors to working together to turn unrelated source of data into a cohesive visualization, okay. Whether the data is a simple Excel data or it's in the cloud or maybe hybrid, Power BI lets you easily connect to them. Okay, so this is Power BI. Power BI can let you connect it to any of the data. Okay, this is Power BI. You can connect to cloud, you can connect to SQL, you can connect to Excel. Okay, so that is what Power BI is. This is just the overview of Power BI. Okay, so Power BI is a desktop app, as I already explained. It's a desktop app. Okay, Power BI consists of a Microsoft Windows desktop application called Power BI Desktop. Okay, and an online SaaS, which is a software as service. Okay, also called the Power BI service. Okay, and then the Power BI mobile app. Okay, these are available on all devices. The mobile app with respect to the mobile BI. Okay, so any app which is like Windows, iOS, or Android, you can have your Power BI mobile app. Okay, these three elements, okay, the desktop, the service, and the mobile app are designed to let people create, share, consume, and business insights in the way that they think they can see it. Okay, Power BI Desktop is a free application. It's free. You don't need to pay anything about it. You just free to install on your local computer. That lets you connect to transform and visualize data with Power BI Desktop. You can also do multiple and different sources of data. You can connect to multiple and different sources of data through the Power BI. We'll go through a particular session shortly. So this is Power BI Desktop. As I said already, is a free application, okay, for PCs. It's only for PCs. You can't install Power BI Desktop on your phone. It's only for PCs. So Power BI Desktop is free application for PCs that lets you gather, transform, and visualize data in the model, okay. You learn how to find and collect data from different sources and how to clean or transform data. So when we say you want to clean or transform data, you make sure that you are cleaning or transforming the data into what you suit. Okay, sometimes after uploading a data in Power BI, you have some date formats changing to words or to text or to numbers. So you need to change the format to dates. Okay, so we'll go through that one. So this is Power BI desktop. As you can see on my right hand side, there are a lot of things. So when you go to get data, you see there are a lot of information. There are a lot of data source that you can connect to. Mostly Excel is the first part, and you can connect to a text file, Azuri, any other form of where your data is. You can connect it to it. Okay, prepping and modeling your data. You can also prep. I think the screen is. Can also prep your data and make sure that you have visibility on how you want to see your data. So there are so many advanced analytics with Power BI. Okay, you can add sales information. You can change the format of your analysis. You can also do trend analysis. You can do so many analysis. You can use your DAX formula to create a formula, okay, to suit what you want to see. You can use a normal calculation just like your Excel. You can find the sum, or you can also find the product of two or more informations or source that you found. Okay, so this actually gives you in depth of visualizations too. So you have to be familiar. If you are familiar with Excel, the advanced analytic formulas will be very easy for you. So it's good before you get started with Power BI, you need to be also abreast with what your Excel, so that you can also understand how the BI works. Okay. So create interactive reports, customizing for your business needs. So as I said, instead of sending Excel files to your controllers or your managers to see how Power BI is, you actually need to build a report in a Power BI. If your manager is having a mobile app, you can share the report with him or her using the mobile app. If not, you can also send it through a PDF form. Okay, there's an automation in Power BI that actually helps you share your reports in PDF straight to your mail. So people automate monthly sales or daily sales reports that they share with the individuals at the end of every day, like 7 p.m. It shares automatically. The Power BI refreshes and shares a PDF mail to all managers to see how they are faring. Okay, so as I explained, these are the service BI. This one is mostly online, so you can have different dashboards. This one can help you connect to various. This helps you to share with other people in other organizations and in other places. So this is an online app which is used to. This is not like the desktop. The desktop you can use to create, but this one is a whole like server, okay, service. So you can also check other reports when being shared with you. Okay, they can share a report through a web base, not necessarily sending you the whole Power BI desktop. Okay, when you have a pro license too, you can also actually share reports. So this is the mobile app. So the mobile app also it's easy to navigate on your phone. Okay, so that you can see what you have that has been shared to you. So from the BI server, you can share it on the mobile app so that anyone working anywhere can also access it on the mobile app. Yeah, so that's so the next is the flow of the Power BI. So you could see that Power BI desktops now flows to the BI service, and now it comes to the Power BI mobile app. So anytime you build your reports in your Power BI desktop, then now you can save them into your Power BI service. Then now you can share it with the mobile app. So from here, you can launch it to your workspace. Mostly it's called workspace in Power BI. Then it comes here. Then now you can share it to mobile apps. So how do you get Power BI desktop? You go to any window app, okay, or any site of Power BI, and click on download Power BI. This is where you get the Power BI desktop app. Okay. So immediately you install your Power BI and you open. Mostly these are your first. This is your first screen. Okay, this first screen you see the reports you have been using, and you see a get started or a recent source. Okay, so you can just click on get started to get data. Sorry, to get a data from any source, or you can just close it. And if it's your first time and you want to sign in, you can sign in. If you want to use a free trial for this for pro users only, Power BI Pro, okay, users, but for the desktop it's free, so you don't need to sign in. So you can just close and just continue. Okay, so this is the first interface of Power BI. This is how Power BI looks like. So this is Power BI. When it's your first time, this is what you get. If you want to get data, you just go here and just select the data you want to pick from any other site. This is where your visualization is. This is a filter. We'll go there. These are your fields. These are where you see all your data you've exported to Power BI. So this screen is your visualization screen. You can change it to your table screen or the relation. Okay. So let's go to get and transform data source in Power BI. So as I explained earlier on,
there are some there are some annotations on your screen. I don't know if you can clear it.
The blue?
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
I've been trying to clear it, but okay, let me see. So it's not getting cleared. Okay, it's gone. Okay.
So it wasn't from my end. Oh, okay. Thank you. It's fine now. Is it fine? Hello, is it fine now?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. So with the get data, you have to identify. After getting the data, you need to use a Power Query editor, okay, to clean up and shape your data. Okay, so we'll go through it practically. So to clean up your data or shape your data, you have to know what you want to see. Sometimes the data you pick up from your data source won't be in a table form, okay, will be a raw data. So you have to actually introduce your table header and the columns you want to have. Some columns will not be necessary, so you can just delete the columns, and sometimes you have to add columns. Okay, so in my next slide, you could see that there's been a data imported to Power BI. Okay, so after the data was imported, you could see that there were empty rows on top. So to remove these rows, you need to go to your remove row and click remove top row. Okay, alternatively you can also remove the bottom row or remove alternate row. This one will give you a range of rows like you need to remove. So maybe you can list from row 3 to row 7 and remove the middle rows, okay, or any other rows, okay. And for columns, there are remove columns. So in this part of Power BI, you go to the home and you see it at your tabs down there. So for columns, when you want to remove columns, you can click on the column like this and remove it. Or when you want to remove a lot of columns, you can click on the columns you have and you click on remove others. We'll go into it practically to see how it goes. Okay, so there's also on pivoting and pivoting. If you are familiar with Excel or Power Query, you know what pivot is. Okay, so you have the data in terms of this table and you want to transpose or pivot it. Okay, Power BI can help you do that. And mostly if you have imported data what we do is that we rename most of the tables so that we can relate with the table. So most often Excel, people use Excel when you see sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, and when you are connecting the dots, it's a bit difficult. Table 1, table 2, table 3. So in Power BI, in Excel too, it's possible, but people don't really use it. In Power BI or in Excel, you can rename each table or each file, okay, so that you can relate to it. Because in Power BI, you'll be dragging and dropping most of the fields into your chart. So you need to know which table or which source you are picking it from. Okay, so there's when you right click on the query, you can rename the whole query. So clicking on renaming, you can change it to maybe sales of the year or sales 2020, anything you want to rename. Okay, so evaluating and changing column data. So this is what I explained. For instance, you see this is in numbers, this is in text, this is in text, this is in text, this is in text, but this is a date. Okay, so in order, sometimes you try to build a formula with dates. Okay, so you have to build a formula and you have an error like this, could not load data for this visual. Okay, maybe you want to see the total quantity of sales of the year. Okay, so you use this formula and will tell you that the column field type is not a date. Okay, so that means you can change this name to date. Because this is a date format, you can change this data type to dates, okay, or date and time, which will go into when we get into Power BI, the demo session. So there is also an append and also merge. Okay, so there are two different things. Okay, so the append is appending two tables together. These tables should have the same rows and the same column titles. Okay, so before you append, you should have the same column titles to append. Okay, you can also append, but then you need to work around it. Okay, but for the merge, okay, so I usually tell people that the merge is like a VLOOKUP. Okay, so the merge, you can also take the merge from a data source, a previous data source, and you merge it to another data source. So for instance, the order ID for this part, you could see they are merging this and this the data, sales orders and sales orders details. They are merging this based on the order ID. So immediately you click on the order ID, it's going to merge based on the order ID. And you can give what it's supposed to return, whether you want to return the product ID or the quantity in the food chart. So we'll go into this. So this is profiling data and examination structure. So here, examination structure. So this is, I don't know if you are familiar with relation. This is where you have to relate keys, primary keys to those who are used to access. You understand this better. You have to have primary keys, what are similar in each of the tables. So before you append, as I explained here, before you merge, you know that you have to have a primary key. So this order ID and this order ID are both primary keys in two different tables. This is a table and this is a table. So you need to merge them based on this ID. Then you can tell it to return either the quantity or the product ID. So this is what happens. Anytime you upload your Power BI, there's an automatic relationship that has from your Excel. So if there are some unique links, or automatically draw a line, but if not, you can also build your own relation. Okay, we have so many relations. We have one to many, one to one, and all sorts of the relation. Okay, I'm sure the next session will take you through that one. Okay, so data modeling and DAX. Okay, I'm just going to introduce you to DAX, what DAX is, and what you can do with DAX. Okay, so DAX is, the full meaning of DAX is data analysis expression. Okay, this is a formula that express language is used in analysis, server, Power BI, pivots, power pivots for Excel. Okay, DAX is a library of functions, okay, operations and constants that can be combined to build a formula and expression. Okay, DAX is a bit, it's not easy like that to memorize all DAX formulas, but there are so many books, or there are so many guides on DAX. So if you want to do something and you are not able to do it, you can check online. You will have so many DAX formulas that you can use. Okay, yeah, so that's DAX. DAX can help you get date and time function, information function, okay, statistical functions, mathematics and trig functions, filter function, text, and time intelligence. Okay, so DAX expression actually gives us to calculate columns. It also helps us for measures and calculated tables. Okay, so a particular example of calculated column. So you could see that we need to find the total sales of our table. Now we have we have the unit price of every product, okay, and we have the quantity, and we know that to find the total sales, we need to multiply the unit price by the quantity. So this is an example of DAX calculated formula, which most of us use in our Excel already or Power Query. So in DAX, the difference between the DAX and Power Query is that in the DAX, you will see the names of the columns you want to multiply. So when you go to Excel and you have a table form, you realize that sometimes when you are typing your formulas, it brings out the name of the column that you want to use. So this is how DAX is. Okay. So another DAX formula, this also is giving us the revenue, the sum. Okay. This also a DAX formula that you can use to also find a total figure for your formulas. So this is a calculated table, and this is a measure. Okay, so when you go to Power BI, sometimes you open some reports online, you see that there are numbers, total number of vote counts, total number of COVID, death in COVID, total number of this. So it's a measure which is in DAX. So for instance, when you have your quantities, you can just put in your sum into bracket, the sales quantity, okay, will give you the total number. So this is an example of DAX. Okay, and it can be broken down into products, okay, using your visualization table. Okay, so this is a clear picture of how it is. Okay, so we move to the Power BI Visual Desktop, the reporting and dashboard. Okay, so with this, you have a lot of visuals. Okay, you have a lot of visuals that you can use, okay, in your Power BI. So you create the report in the Power BI desktop, as I explained. You push it to your server, that is, you publish it to your server, your service, okay. Then now you can send it to your apps, or you can access it directly in your mobile apps, or share it with the team. Okay, so mostly everyone, when you download a Power BI desktop, everyone has a workspace. So after creating your report on your desktop, then you publish it to the workspace, which is your service. Then now you can have access to the server, the app on the mobile, or share it with others. So there are a lot of graphs and a lot of visualization in Power BI, bar charts, column, and what have you. And there are individuals who are also developing visuals, okay, in Power BI, and they add them. Anytime you open your Power BI, you can click on these three dots, will actually expand and tell you if you want to add more charts. Okay, so you just take the ones you need, the ones you don't need. Some are free, some are not free. You can also build your own visuals, okay, if you want to. So this is part of the visual. There's a tables and metrics. Okay, you can have a single view table metrics, and you can have a double view where you can have months and you have dates under the month. This is table metrics. You can have your dates, months here, you can have your costs and product. So this is a table which is part of the visualization you can use. Okay, so this is card visualization. You just put a particular visual there, and this is a multi-card, so different KPIs. So maybe in sales or profits or something, you can put individual. So you have one alone, and you can put various ones on your multiple cards. The gauge is to just measure your KPI. Any KPI you want to use in your gauge, you can measure. We'll go through some of the charts. So line graph and line charts, ribbon, waterfall, combo, bar charts, column charts, 100% stack, and stack bar. We have the scattered plots, and we have the combo. Okay, so with Power BI visualization and you have a lot of visuals, okay, to decompose in trees. Okay, so this is also another level of Power BI, which can also artificial intelligence, which can also help you. Okay, and that is the end for the presentation. Before we move to the demo, is there any question from the participants? Is there any question in the chat or any question or anyone who wants to contribute?
Okay, so guys, if you have any question, you can put it in the chat, and then we'll read it out to our presenter for him to answer. Okay, so someone is asking, okay, I'm sure we have some people who have actually helped him out. So you want to know what's the meaning of KPI. So we have some contributions that this is a key performance indicator. So that is it here. So KPI is a key performance indicator. Okay. So far, Paco, there are no questions. So I'll keep my eye on the chat. If there are any questions, I'll let you know, and then you can answer it in the course of the demo. So you can start.
Okay, thank you. So if there's no question, let's move quickly to our demo. Okay, so let me start from the scratch. So this is Power BI. Okay, you can go to your app and just look for Power BI to here. But this is my tag, so just clicking on Power BI. So after installing Power BI and also Power BI desktop, sorry, after installing Power BI desktop, this is what comes. Okay. So you have this anytime you open Power BI desktop. Okay. So
Hello,
you see these are, yeah.
Are we using the financial data set?
Yes.
For the demo. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'll share it with him. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So these are some of the reports I built and we use in Nestle. Okay, so you could see CSD, PEC, sense checks on COX and reports inventory. Okay, so when you have this, you can just close it. Okay, you don't need to. So this is Power BI. So to get started, you just go here, get started. And these are the common source that I use. So it's here. Okay, but if yours is not in here, you can just go to more. Okay, so when you go to more, you would see a window open. Okay, so this window open and you can find a lot of reports here, source here. Okay, so you could see there are a lot here. You can decide to go into your files. If you have your database, Power Platform, database, you can have access. You can have SAP Business Warehouse application, Power Platform, Azure, or any online service. Okay, so online service, you can go to your SharePoint or any other. Okay, yes. So these are where you get your data from, depending on where you are getting your data from. You are going to use Excel as an example for today. So you go to the all. Okay, so with the all, let's choose Excel. Let's connect with our Excel. So we are going to use our financial sample as example for this. So you click on your Excel and click on open. So let me open the financial sample file too in Excel so that I'll share. So this is the financial file, sample file we are going to use. Okay, so you could realize that there's only one sheet here. Okay, so this sheet is actually now showing here as sheet 1, and there's another thing here showing as financial. Okay, so the reason why this is showing as a financial is that we have a table here called financials. Okay, so this table, when you go to table design, you see that this table name is financial. Okay, so it's good to be naming your tables and your so right now you have in Power BI, you have a sheet and you have a table. The table is the financial, is named here, so you can choose this if you are okay with it, and you don't need to load directly. Okay, the only time you need to load is when you've cleaned all your data in your Excel already. Okay, but if you need to clean more, you use transform data. Then I always say it's best to go to transform data and just look your eyes through whether everything is fine before you proceed. So with the transform data, you go to your transform data. So a Power Query editor will open. Okay, so this is the Power Query editor. Okay, the good thing about this Power Query editor is that any step you do, okay, you can undo. Okay, so these are the steps being applied. Okay, so this is where the source came from, and this is what the system thought it could do by navigating, and this is what the system thought it could do by changing of the data type. If you think you are not okay with what the system did by changing the data type, you can actually close this. Okay, when you close this, it will take back to the normal form it came in. Okay, you can cancel it. It will take you back to the normal form it came in. You could see that it's telling you that this is either numbers or words, so you can change them. Okay, so we can change this to text. Get it? We can change this to text too. You can change this to text. This to text. We can change this to maybe decimal units, decimal. Can change this to numbers, whole numbers, fraction price, sales price, can change it to whole numbers. So that is it. You have to clean by changing this. So you click on this type and you see that all the data types here. Okay, then you change them, discount to whole numbers. Better still, you can also click on the column and you go up here, okay, where the transform is. So these are the column for transforming. Okay, you can also click here and change it from here, whether you want it to be date or time or whole numbers or figures. Okay, so sales cogs, same. Can do it for all to the end. Okay, so this should be date. So date, then whole numbers. So you have this. Okay, so your data is transformed. Probably you don't need a year. Okay, so you can click here and you want to remove column. It's either you go here, remove column, or you can right click and remove column. Okay, so if you right click and remove column and you think you made a mistake, it wasn't necessary to remove the column, you can come to your applied steps. Okay, and then now cancel the step. Okay, so when you cancel it, when you come back, you see your year back. Okay, so probably you just needed only the first five columns. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and you realize that the other columns are a lot. Now, if you want to remove those columns, you can't remove them one by one. You can't delete them one by one. So you can select the lesser ones first, like this, the first 5. You can right click and remove other columns. Okay, we'll keep the ones you selected and we'll remove the ones that wasn't selected. So just like this. So you see, you have only this. Okay, when you want to go back to the step, as I said, you just cancel it. So the same thing, you select all here, you go up to this, and you remove columns, remove other columns. Okay, so this is what this does. So this is some of the useful things about Power BI, the Power Query Editor. This place you can edit and navigate through all your what you want to see, your data type and everything. This is a very powerful tool that makes work simple. You can actually spend a lot of time building your data information from here. Okay, so it's very important to know all this. Okay, so let's just try one formula to see. Okay, so for instance, you want to find your sales. Okay, so you have your selling price. Okay, and you have units sold. Okay, selling price and units sold. Okay, when you multiply this by this, you are going to get your sales. So this formula, for instance, this is the sales, total sales. So we can just add a new column. So you can click on it and add a new column. Okay. Okay, so adding a new column, you can also go here. So maybe let's name it total sales 2 or something. So total sales. So you can choose your price in it, then times your sales price. Okay. So mostly you also have to be checking your errors. Okay, you realize that before I chose the sales price, there was a so times is giving me an token that's showing some error. So you can click on it to see the error that is showing. So this is actually if you want to add a custom column, okay, to your column. So anytime you bring raw data, you can do your own calculations before. So this is a custom column which is showing your units sold and versus your sales. So when you click on it, we'll actually add a column to it. Okay, then you have to change it to fixed decimals or if you want it to be whole numbers. So you could see that this and the sales information are the same. Okay, this and this are the same. So imagine you importing your data and you were not having this information. You realize you can bring it up and have that. Okay, so when you are done with all your formulas and stuff, you can just close and apply. Okay, or only apply. Only apply will apply and still leave here, which you can edit and correct. Here, close and apply will close the Power Query data, and now this will go into your main data source. So the rename, maybe we'll rename this to year was it 2014. So maybe we'll rename this to financials 2014. Okay, maybe we'll add financials 2015 or 2016. So we'll rename this to financial 2014. Okay, so that we can know what we want to see. So this is the renaming I was talking about. You right click and you rename. Okay, so sometimes mostly when people are building a new dashboard, what they do is that after they bring the query here, they try to keep the main query and duplicate it. So you can also duplicate the file. You can duplicate this. Okay, and you can just rename it something else. Okay, so maybe we keep it as financial 14. Okay, so you can play with this one too. So for instance, we have let's delete everything and leave the total sales. Okay, so let's just correct this. So remove columns. Okay. And from this side, let's delete our total source step. So we can go back. So when you are done, you can just close and apply everything. Apply change. To take some time. Any question so far? So immediately you close and apply, you see your two models we created here. Okay, as you can see them here. Okay, and here you can see your data information. Okay, you can see your data information here, for instance. Okay, when you want to see the other one, just click here. And you can see your data information. Okay, when you come to the relation, you see your information here, okay, for your data. So what you can do is that you can map this to see if there is, okay, many to many, okay. So it's not possible, it's many to many. So this is many to many. You can have one to many relation. So you could see that there are countries here and there are countries here. So you can link the two to it. Okay, so this is an example of the relation I was talking about in my Excel. Okay, so let's go to the graph and see what we can do with Power BI. So this is Power BI. You have this. Okay, you can see it's a plane. This is the visuals. So any visual you want to use, you select. Okay, so you select the visual. Maybe you want to use bar chart or something. So you select your bar chart or table, select your table. So with your table, you know that so stack, okay. So you can have maybe your countries on your, these are your pin, okay. So axis, you have your axis and your values. So you can put your country as axis, okay. You can put maybe your cost amount value, okay. So you have something like this, okay, for your view. Because this is a stack, you can actually add your cost to it. Maybe you are comparing to, you are adding two information to it, okay. This chart, okay. So you go into depth in the next session to how to create more charts and stuff. So you, after building a chart, you can actually click on that same chart and change it to a different chart, okay. If they are in line, so 100% stack will automatically change the charts you want to see. Okay, so these are your fields you want to see. So these are what you need to drag and drop in your report. Okay, so for instance, the card we were talking about. So with the card, you can click on the card and put your cost, your total cost. Okay, so you could see that the total cost for all countries at 102 million. So these are the cards we're talking about. And these cards, you can also add a filter, maybe a filter that can affect the whole plane. So you can slicer. Let's bring a slicer. Okay. So this is a slicer, and maybe you want to fill it by countries. So this is a country. So the good thing about Power BI is that anytime you select a particular slicer, it affects all the charts you have. So for instance, Germany is giving us only the chart for Germany here and the cost for Germany. Okay. When you want to go back, you go back to everything. Okay, this is actually how it works. And we have another filter. So these are filters. Okay. So we have filters that affect this visualization and the whole plane. So you can select this one, for instance, okay, and give it another filter that will only affect this visual. Okay. So you can bring countries to this. Okay, so in here, when you select Canada, it only affects this visuals. It doesn't affect the other one, this chart. Okay, so this actually is on this visual. Okay, but the slices we created here was for all. Okay, so here, when you select Canada, you realize that it affected these two. But in the one you created in this card, okay, when you select the card, you realize that there are filters here. What you put in that filter for filter on this visual only, on this is this. So you can decide to what, change it to Mexico, and this will only change. Okay, so this is and also a useful tool for the Power BI. You can add more pages and work on it. You can also duplicate the page if you are not, if you don't want to, if you want to still work on the same visuals you have already. You can also bring a page, duplicate the page. Okay, so instead of maybe having a 100% stack, you would like to see a visual with map. Okay, but you have to note that with a map, you need to also have the correct namings of the countries, okay, to actually see what you want to see. So you could see how the map is showing you in North America and Europe, the countries that are focusing on. Okay. Any question so far? Festus, any question? Okay, so as I was explaining earlier,
Hello.
you can. Hello.
Hello. Pakwesi,
Yeah.
with the cards you are talking about, you realize that, I don't know, yesterday we dealt with Excel, and then with the bar chart, when you like maybe you are choosing, you are ticking Canada like this, it affects all the programs or all the data on the card. But as for this one, we have different types of bar charts with regards to the countries that we have and their respective figures. In choosing maybe Canada, it deletes the rest of the bar chart and shows only Canada. Please, you understand?
No, let me go back to it so that.
Okay.
So, for instance, yeah.
For instance, like we have Canada, France, Germany, and Mexico. So in choosing, for example, US, when you start US, it deletes, okay, everything goes in a section of US. Is there any way you can deal with, or maybe wrap the whole data so that maybe in choosing US, you still have all the data, but it signifies that US is what you're talking about? Or this is how it goes?
Oh, okay. So if I'm getting you right, you are saying that in choosing US, this will still be there and you only have US highlighted.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can do it this way. So that one, you don't need to select a field, you don't need to select a slicer. You need to select your visual. Do you get it? Yes. So for instance, if you want to select US in the visual, you click on
Yes,
US, for instance, and the other one will be blurred out. Am I answering your question?
yes, you are. Thank you.
Pakwesi.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me also come in here. So there's also another way that you can do that using DAX. So you can do DAX, or you can do a calculation that is going to look at what you have selected from your slicer and then highlight it on the visual. So you can do it this way, or you can still have the chart. And then when you select the country from the slicer, it's going to highlight your selection. But you can accomplish that using DAX, where you write a formula to do that for you. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Festus. Any question? This should be interactive. Ask questions so that we can answer and help you more. Festus, is my time almost up? What time are you starting?
Hello, Pakwesi.
Yes.
Please, the COGS, what's the full meaning?
It's cost of goods sold. It's abbreviation of
Okay.
cost of goods sold. It's an abbreviation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's just a financial information of another company. So they are calculating their cost of goods sold. Okay. So it's just an abbreviation of COGS. Yeah. It's not in Power BI. It's just a financial term.
All right.
Okay. Any other? Yeah, I know.
Pakwesi?
Yeah.
Yeah, someone wants to find out how you were able to come up with this slicer.
Okay, so let's go back to the slicer. Let me just remove this. Okay, so with the slicer, in our Excel, we have countries, we have these countries, we have it in our field. So in the dashboard, what we did was that there are a lot of visuals here. Okay, there's one called slicer here. Okay, so you click on it and it will come here. So what you do is that anything you want to have a slicer or a drop down to be selected on, you just move that field or that type to this place, the field here, add to field. So you can just click on it and just drag and drop. So you see your country here. So you see the list of countries you want to see here. Okay, it's not only related to countries. So if you want to see a product, you can just move the product here and just cancel the country. You have all the products in your Excel, in your imported file. Okay, so you could see that the slider you can put multiple fields. So for instance, you can put a country and a product. So after you select a country, you can focus on one particular product, okay, or you can focus on other products too. So these are it is, okay. But mostly sliders are used only once. If you want to have multiple, you just create another one. Okay, in the next visual, I'll just create another slider and maybe you add your product to it. So you just drag and drop it to your product, your field. So you have your product here, for instance. Okay, so you can select Canada and you can select the product you want to. Okay, so this actually gives you your, yeah. Any question? Any other question?
Hello, please, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, for the when you created this second slicer, the product slicer now, you clicked on Canada and clicked on the product. I expected that the cost of goods sold will decrease, but there was no change to it.
Come again.
Yeah, okay, okay. Yes, if you click on Canada now, you click on just one product. I was expecting that the cost of goods sold should be lesser.
Oh, okay. I get your question.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
you're welcome. So for instance, let me clear this too. Okay, so what happens is that you see for the products here, we did a duplicate of two files, okay? But for the products here, there's no relation in it from this file. So you see that this relation is for only countries to what country in the other file. There's product here, but we didn't link it to a product here, okay? So when you go to your visual, okay, when you select this product and you change it, it doesn't affect anything because it's not linked to the cost of goods sold here. For this
O-
first financial 14, there's no cost of goods sold. So it's
o-
not linking it to any cost of goods sold. So let's bring back our country and let me show you an example. So with a country,
Okay.
okay, with a country, you could see that anytime you change country, everything changes. It's because we've built a relation here that the
Okay.
country here is almost the same as the country here, so it should be picking. But this side, the product, there's no relation. So let's bring this product rather in. Let's bring this product. Let's select everything and bring this product as a slicer here. Sorry, I'm adding too many slices. Okay, so this product, let's just so this product is here. In this file, we have cost of goods sold. So if I
Okay.
select Canada from here and I select another product, it will reduce. Do you get a point?
Okay.
Yes, but in this is from the first financials and it's not picking. Now, how can we correct this so that we don't you can use any product anywhere? You can go back to your relation. and link your product to product. So
Okay.
where the product is here, so you just drag and link it to this. It's many to many because there are many products there. Now, when we go back to our visuals, now you see that this was the first one. Now you can click any other product, and I think we need to refresh. Just add a slide now. Now let's bring the first product. Oh, sure. It's not picking. But that is the reason why the other slides wasn't working. So you need to use the other one. First was any reason why I've linked the relation, but the slider for the other product is not working.
I'm sure the problem is coming from the data itself. So let me check the data and see why. So actually what is happening is that the product column is not featuring the cost of goods sold.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even with just the one relationship that we have between let me check the cost of goods sold. Okay. And then the product.
But I don't know if I answered your question. It's because the cost of goods sold is not in the other data. I don't know if I answered the question. Personal.
Yes, you did. You did. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other question? My time is up. Any other question?
Okay. There's a question from Spire, and then he's saying, okay, I'm sure it's just a clarification that he believes that the slicer affects all the visuals that are on the same report. Okay, he's asking if a slicer affects all the visuals on the same report.
If the slicer affects all the visuals on the same report, yes and no, depending on where you put your slicer. Okay, so for instance, this slicer is a visual on is filter on this visual. Okay, so this is a slicer that will affect all the reports. But as I explained earlier, you can also put a filter. Okay, so that's not slicer. So slicer affects the visuals on all the reports. But the products, the one that we were answering, wasn't linked, okay, to one of the, I don't know whether maybe the data, the product is not linked to a cost of goods sold, but it's linked to cost of goods sold.
So you Package, let's create just a measure, like just pick the cost of goods sold and then pick the product into a table and then let's see what happens. You should be able to filter that.
So that means I'll create a measure here rather, because the first one doesn't have cost of goods sold.
Okay, the first one doesn't have.
Yeah, so that was the reason. The first one doesn't have cost of goods sold, but the second one has. So it's the second one that is taken from. But because there's no relation from the product to the second product, the second file, that's why it's not showing. But I built a relationship with it, but still. So
No
that
problem.
was the
Okay.
I don't know why I don't know why it wasn't working, but
yeah, because
but slices apply to all visuals. Yeah, slices apply to all visuals. I don't know if I answered your question. Unless you specify that a particular slicer should work on a particular visual. Okay, sometimes you can specify that a slicer should work on a particular visual, not the whole page. Okay, so if you can see the filters here, okay, you could see that there's a filter on this visual, you can see filter on this page and filter on all pages. Sometimes you can bring any of the fields here and you can select it so that it won't show the others. So if you want all pages, so the multiple pages you create here, you put it here so that the filter will apply on all pages. If you want on this page, you put the filter, you put it on this page. That means anything on this page, the slicer or the filter will apply on only that. So I don't know if the question is answered. First was if you want to add.
Yeah, that's it. So the slicer affects all the visuals on the report. So what we can do is that you can edit the connection and determine which of the visuals should be filtered by the slicer. Okay, so as you said, that's it. So you have to determine what should filter what at every point in time. So there's an option that you can use to do that. So I'm sure it's something that I will cover in the next section.
Okay.
Okay, and there's a question, but it's not clear. Okay, thank you. So I must use filter on this visual if I only want to apply to a particular visual by the slicer, or the other hand affect all the visuals. Okay, I think I would tackle that in the next section, so it will be clear. Okay, guys, if you have any other question, you can bring it up. Our time is fast spent, so let's see. Okay, so let me check if our next speaker is here. Okay. Okay. So if there are any other questions, you can put it in the chat and we'll be able to read it out to Parkwesi for him to answer. So if you have any question, kindly put it in the chat. Let me go to YouTube to see if you have any question from there.
Yeah, any question? The next section take you into in-depth. So I don't want to do much than so that the next person talk about it later. So any question, any contribution? I know some of you have used Power BI.
Yeah,
so
sure.
let's just get started to whet your appetite. So if you have any contribution, maybe I said something and it wasn't clear enough, you have a different opinion, you can also share.
Okay, how can I change? Someone is asking, how do you change the Excel data and then import in Power BI and display the chart in Power BI? I don't know. Can you come again? Can you come again with that question? How do you change the Excel data and import in Power BI and display the chart in Power BI? It's not clear. Now, there's also another question here. How do you do data pre-processing or cleansing in Power BI? Is this similar to what we have in Tableau? Oh, so the data cleaning is what he took you through, how you can do that in Power BI using the Power Query. So in Power BI, we use the Power Query to do the data transformation. So if you need to clean or transform your data, we do everything within the Power Query editor, where it showed you how you can remove columns, how you can come up with custom columns. So we have these features in Power BI, which will help you to clean your data. It's almost similar experience that we have using the Tableau prep. Okay. How do I get Power BI desktop, or how do I get Power BI installed on my system? So I will share the link where you'll be able to download the Power BI. So I will share the link with you how you can get the Power BI. Okay, I think someone is also helping to ask. Someone also wants to find out what's the difference between Power BI and then Excel. How is Power BI different from Excel? Parker, can you share some light on that? Then I'll also come in with something small. Okay, I don't know if Parker is still around. Okay, I'm sure. Okay, Parker is not around. So so with Power BI, it gives you so many other advantages that you wouldn't get in Excel. You know, one thing is that Excel, we have some limited number of rows. But one thing is that they have some similarities. So using Excel, some of the engines underlining Excel is also available in Power BI. So if you take the Power BI, we have the get data, then we also have the get data, like you'll be able to import data from so many sources. Now, when it comes to Excel too, we have those functionalities that you can also use to connect to data from a wide range of sources. But some of the connectors that we have in Power BI are not available in Excel. So that's one of the difference that you have. But if you look at the engines like the Power Query, the pivots, the Power Pivot, we still have it within Excel. So if you are using Excel 2016 and the later versions, you'll be able to have all those functionalities. Okay. But one thing is that within the Power BI, you get the option to develop some interactive dashboards and reports, which are sometimes very limited when it comes to Excel. And with Power BI, you can share your report with other people without sharing the actual file. You can upload your Power BI file onto the cloud or the Power BI service, and then you can share the link or you can share the report via email with other users. Now in Excel, unless you send the file, the original file itself, but here I can publish it and then I can share the report with business partners or anyone who needs to access the reports. So when it comes to the Power BI, you have so many options of sending or sharing the reports as compared to using Excel. Now, when you publish your report on Power BI service, if your users are using Power BI mobile, or even yourself, you are using Power BI mobile, you'll be able to access your report on your mobile phone. So imagine, for example, in office, your boss has traveled. Now, every week you have to send a report to him. You can publish that report using Power BI on the Power BI service, and then he can tap into that report on his mobile phone. So anytime the data changes, he's going to get an updated version of the data in his mobile phone. Okay, so using the Power BI, it gives you more power as compared to using just the Excel. But there's a way you can use Excel and the Power BI together so that you can leverage the advantages of all these two applications together. So it's something that I plan to cover, but unfortunately, I'm going to cover something different. But there's a way you can integrate Excel and the Power BI together so that you'll be able to utilize the powerful nature of all these two applications. Okay, so we are going to start with the next section. I don't know if anyone has any other question. How do you connect to DW and then Azure? Parker, can you do a demo on how you can connect to data from Azure? Just the connector.
Can you hear? So there's it. So
okay, yeah.
So you go to get, or let me start again. Go to get data. You go to more. Okay. So a window will open. So you can search for it from the all. You see down there. Okay, if it will take time, there are the platforms here. You can go to file database or other. So you click on other, then you can choose from any of the source you want to.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so okay, let me check how useful is machine learning Azure or ML Azure, and what is it what is its present and future? Please, this section doesn't cover. So maybe in the later hackathons you might cover something like that, but this is beyond what we are discussing now. Okay. So now let's continue. Okay, let me check YouTube if you have any other question from the platform. Okay, how do you delete slicer? Okay, someone is asking, how do we delete slicer?
Delete the whole slicer, or okay, so
slicer, yeah, how do you delete slicer?
Come again.
Yeah, how do you delete a slicer? That's the question you want to find out.
Okay, so when there's a slicer, you can come here and just remove. Okay, or you can click on any visual you want to and just click on your keyboard, the delete. You can just click on your delete aspect and find or remove. Or better still, I don't know, let me answer the other way around. Maybe how to unselect slices. So if you select one and it's focusing on only Canada and you want it to focus on all the other countries, you unselect it and it will give you the visibility of all the other countries. Okay, when you select Canada, you can press Control and select other for multiple countries. Okay, maybe you want to exclude only United States. So I don't know which of the questions you were asking, but I'm sure one will answer your question. You can also clear everything for it to focus on everything. Yeah, but if you want to delete the whole slicer, you can just remove this from here, or after clicking on your visual itself, you just delete and it will remove by itself. Yeah. Is my answer clear enough?
Okay, yeah, I think it's clear. Okay, so let's get started with the next section.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you very
so
much.
thank you very much. Thank you for the insightful presentation on getting started with Power BI. So we are going to start with the next section, which we are going to dig deeper into the Power BI visuals. So here we are going to look at how or choosing the right chart for your visual. Okay, so here, if you take a look at the Power BI, you can see that we have a lot of visuals. Sometimes you may not want to know, sometimes you might think that you can use any visual to visualize any data, but depending on the data and the kind of story that you want to tell, we have a visual that's best fits that particular data that you want to visualize. So I'm going to look at how you can choose the right chart for your data. How to choose the right chart for your data. So I'm going to take you through that section. So some of you might not know me. I'm Thomas Festus Kujo, and I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and then also a Microsoft certified data analyst. So I'm going to take you through choosing the right chart for your data, how you can pick the right visual. Because within Power BI, there are so many visual. And you might think you can pick and choose any visual, but all the visuals there are there for a purpose. So I'm going to take you through some of the key visuals that we have and then when you can use any of them. So let me share my screen. So okay. So now let's take a look at this. So when you come to the Power BI visualization screen here, you can see that we have a lot of visuals. Now, as Parkwesi mentioned, apart from these custom or apart from these native visuals, when you click on this three dotted icon here, you can also import data from the App Store, or you can get data from, you can import some custom data which has been developed by other individuals. So apart from these visuals, there are a whole lot of visuals that you can get, and then you'll be able to download them and then add it to your native visuals that you have here. So these are some of the custom visuals that you can have. So within Power BI, there are so many visuals that you can use. But here you might think you can pick and choose any visual that you want to pick. But to ensure that your audience will be able to understand your report, you have to make sure that you pick the right chart for your data. You pick the right chart for your data. So that's something that you have to know as a data analyst, when to use what to visualize your data. When to use what to visualize the data. Someone want to find out, slices have the same freedom as any visual, but filters don't. And also once you filter something, you can't change it using, okay. So that helps, okay. So now, what's a visual? So when you talk about a visual, let me confirm if you can hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Yes.
please.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, so now when you talk about visual, it's just a graphical representation of a data. Now, why do we visualize our data? We believe that the human brains are wired for stories and then for visuals. So as a data analyst, after analyzing your data, you can't send the raw data to your audience to just figure out what is going on. You have to find a way to tell a compelling story with your data. So as a data analyst, you know your data better than anybody. So the visuals help you to be able to put your story and the kind of insight that you have been able to generate from the data in a form that your audience will be able to understand easily. So visuals are not meant to confuse your audience, but rather to help them to better understand your story. So if you give the original data to your audience, it will take them a very long time to be able to get the insight that you are trying to put across. But when you are able to put everything into a comprehensive report or a dashboard, it helps them to be able to get the insight quickly as compared to sending them the raw data. So when you are visualizing your data, you have to make sure you come up with the visuals that are more clearer for them to be able to understand what is going on. So you can't just pick any chart, no. You have to focus on the chart that will be able to tell the story easily. So it's not about choosing fancy charts to visualize the data, but making sure that you are picking the chart that will make it easier for your audience to be able to understand what is going on. So I'm going to take you through some of the visuals that we have in Power BI and how you'll be able to use them to tell story. So now let me open to a new page. So here, if you check the visualization screen here, we have a lot of visuals here. So if you want to pick or visualize the data using any of these visuals, you just click on the visual. So here, when I pick the area chart and then I select it by clicking on it, you see that I have this chart here. But if you take a look at this, we have not configured it. There's nothing in here, but I just give you the image of the chart that you want to really analyze or you want to use to visualize the data. So here, after you select the chart, you click outside, the chart will be deactivated. Now, if I want to change this, I don't have to delete it and then insert a different chart. If I want to change it to another visual, I just activate it, go to the visualization screen, and then pick the new chart that I want to use. So maybe I want to use a pie chart. I can just select the pie chart, it changes. So here you can be alternating the visual that you want to use. As far as the chart is activated, you can easily change it. Okay, you can easily change it. Now let me try to get the So now let me share my screen. Okay, so when you click on the visual, as far as it is activated, you can easily change it to any visual that you want to change it to. So you don't need to delete it and then try to insert it again. So now let me take you through the visuals and then when you can use any of them. So as I mentioned, a visual is just a graphical representation of a data using a chart, a graph, or a map that helps your users to be able to understand your data. So visualizations are meant to help your decision makers to be able to get insight quickly from your data. So within Power BI, we have so many visuals that you can use to actually analyze and then visualize your data. So, okay, I've talked about these visuals. So there are so many chart types that we have in Power BI. So those of us who are coming from Excel background, we have all the charts that we have in Excel available in Power BI. So you can talk about bar chart, column chart, line chart, area chart, a star column, and then bar charts. We also have waterfall charts, we have cards, we have bubble charts, pie charts, and then donut charts. We also have scatter plots, and then other AI visuals that are in Power BI. So you are going to look at when you can use the Q&A visual, when you can use the key influencer or the decomposition tree. So all these are AI and the machine learning driven visuals that you can use to visualize your data. So I'm going to take you through all these ones. So now let's start with the card. So Pakwesi showed you how you can work with a card. So the card is used to track a key performance indicator. So if you have a key performance indicator and you want to track the performance, for example, you are looking at total sales or maybe a market share or year-over-year change, you can use the KPI. So the KPI is used to visualize just one point or one data point. So if you have sales for different regions and you want to show the total sales for each of these regions, you can't use a card. We use the card when you want to keep track of a particular KPI. For example, what's our total revenue? What's the total sales? What's our total budget? This is when we use a card. Now, apart from the card, we also have multi-card or multi-row card. So with a multi-row, it helps you to show multiple KPIs at the same time, just like what you are seeing on the slide. So this is an example. Let me use annotation. So this is an example of, let me delete. So this is an example of, let me clear all. So this is an example of a card, and this is a multi-card. So the multi-card, it helps you to show multiple KPIs at the same time. So instead of having multiple cards, which is showing different items, you can have a multi-row card, which helps you to show multiple KPIs. So you're going to look at a demo on that. So use the KPI or the card to show one single metric. So you can't use it when you want to show multiple items at the same time. Then we also have the KPI visual. So this KPI visual helps you to evaluate a value against a defined target. So here you are providing a context under which your users are going to evaluate the KPI. So for example, if you are saying that our total sales is 3,000, this 3,000, is it an increase or decrease from the previous year? Or is it that 3,000, like you have not placed it in any context? But when you are using the KPI visual, it helps you to put the KPI into a context where you are going to compare it to a particular target. So maybe you want to compare our total sales to the sales last year, or you want to compare the sales to a particular target. You'll be able to do that using the KPI. But when you are using the card, you wouldn't be able to do that. So this is an example of a KPI where we are looking at our total sales as compared to our budget. So here, this is showing you the total sales. And then it has given you the budget that we are working with. So here our total sales is 3.1 million. But here our goal was 1.98 million. And this tells you that this is an increase of 60.78. So using this KPI, you'll be able to put the KPI into a particular context. So this provides you more value as compared to using just a card, because the card doesn't really provide a context. So if you are saying our sales is 2,000, is it good or bad? But when you're using a KPI visual, you'll be able to give your users that particular clue about the progress that you are making towards a particular goal. So that's the KPI. So creating the KPI is very simple. This is a demo on how you'll be able to create a KPI. So here, what you are tracking is to look at our total year-to-date sales. So this, we place it as the indicator. So indicator is what we want to show. So we want to show our total year-to-date sales. Then you also have the trend axis. So the trend, what metric are you measuring that sales over? So we are measuring it over years. So we want to see the trend under which the sales have been changing. So here you have to put in the trend axis. Then you have to provide the target. So what are we measuring the sales against? We want to compare it to our sales last year. So we put the sales last year as our target. And in this case, you'll be able to come up with this KPI that will help you to be able to provide that context to your users. Okay, now let's move on to the next visual. Then that's the combo. So the combo is also available in Excel. So a combo chart is a single visualization that combines a line chart and then a column chart. So here, if you want to visualize two items or two metrics, which there is a wide difference between those values, then you can use a combo. For example, we want to show our total sales. And then we also want to show the year-over-year change in our total sales. If you want to do that, if you put the total sales on a column chart, and then you put the year-over-year change, which is in the form of a percentage, on the same column chart, the percentages are going to get missing because of the difference in the values. But when you use a combo, you'll be able to visualize all these things on one chart, but they are going to be placed on a different axis. In that case, you'll be able to show the trend as compared to how the sales have been changing over time. So that's the combo. And then, so we are looking at when you can use a combo. So when you have a line chart and then a column chart using the same axis. So here we want to compare multiple measures with different value ranges. And this also used to illustrate the correlation between two measures in one visual. So if you want to see how different items relate to each other using one visual, you can also use the combo to show that. Then you also want to check whether one measure meets a target, which has been defined by another measure. You can also use that. And then you also want to conserve space. So instead of visualizing different items, you want to put everything on one chart that will be able to show the values over time. So if you take a look at this, on the shared axis, this has to do with the axis here. On the shared axis for the two visuals is the month. Then we look at the columns. What is in our column? We are looking at our total sales. And what is in the line? We are looking at the total quantity. So here, what we want to do is to measure the relationship between our total sales and then our total quantity. So as our total sales increases, or as our total quantity increases, you could see that our total sales also moves in the same direction. So if you take a look at this, it tells you that there's a positive relationship between our total sales and then the total quantity, which is reasonable because your total sales is a function of your total quantity. So using this visual, you'll be able to get a hint about the correlation between the two items. Then you also have a gauge, which is also available in Power BI. So the gauge helps you to also measure your progress towards a particular goal or a KPI. So here we want to measure our total sales against our total sales target. You can use a gauge that helps you to be able to measure that progress. So if you take a look at this, we are looking at our total year-to-date sales as compared to our sales last year. So this tells you that our total sales last year was this. Now this is the current value. So this tells you that we have not been able to achieve our target. So use the gauge if you want to measure your progress towards a particular goal or a particular KPI. That's when we use the gauge to do that. Now let's move on. So when do we use it? We want to show a progress towards a goal. So you have a goal, you want to measure your progress towards that particular goal, then you can use the gauge to do that. So creating the gauge is very simple. So you just go to insert and then you select your gauge. Now the value has to do with the KPI that you want to show. So in this case, you want to show our total sales. Then we need to provide the target value. Then the target value is going to be our sales last year. So we want to see or compare our current sales to the sales last year. Then we can use the gauge to do that. Okay. Now we also have waterfall charts, which is also available in Excel. So use the waterfall chart to show the running totals. Okay. So here you want to show the positive and the negative changes, or you want to show how a particular metric have been increasing and decreasing over time. So in this case, we want to look at our total sales by quarter. So we want to see how our total sales have been changing over the quarters. So if you take a look at this, it tells you that the increase in quarter two exceeds all the increase that we have been having. And this also tells you that, okay, this is not sorted. This data is not sorted. Okay, but if it has been sorted properly, then you'll be able to see the trend under which we are increasing our total sales by quarters. Okay. So when do you use the waterfall chart? When you have changes for a measure across time, series, or different categories, or you want to plot your company's annual profit by showing the various sources of revenue and how the company was able to arrive at the total profit, then we can use the waterfall chart. So creating the waterfall chart is just straightforward. Now let's also look at a tree map. So tree map is also one of the visuals in Power BI. So basically we use it to display hierarchical data, okay, where you are going to have some nested rectangles displaying the data. So this is a tree map. So here we want to look at how those values or whatever that we are measuring is being segregated among these items. So immediately you take a look at this, you can see that a chunk of our total unit is coming from urban. Then the next is coming from rural, the youth, and then the mix. So we use this one to also show the size or how an object is being divided across different hierarchies. So here you want to display amount of hierarchical data. You can also use that, or you want to show the proportion between each part and then the whole, just like using a pie chart. You can also use the tree map to do that. Now let's move on to the next one. Okay, so creating it. Now this is a tree map. And then we also have a scatter plot and then a bubble chart. So we use the scatter plot to show the relationship between two items. So if you want to measure how items or different items are moving together, you want to measure the relationship between two items. For example, the weather condition and then the demand for maybe ice cream. You want to see how these values changes over time or how they relate to each other. You can use the scatter plot or you can use the bubble chart to be able to do that. So when do you use it? You want to show the relationship between two numeric values. Then you can use the scatter chart to be able to do that. Then you also have a slicer, which is also one of the visuals, though we use it in filtering the data. It's also one of the visuals that we have in Power BI. So we use the slicer to filter data. We use the slicer to filter data. So if you want to show the sales for each country, you can't use a slicer. We use a slicer so that you'll be able to slice and dice your data based on any particular metric or measure that you want to use. So for example, you want to determine the total sales by country. Instead of putting everything together, you can develop a very simple, comprehensive report, which gives your users the opportunity to filter the data to see the data that they are interested in. So maybe your boss is not interested in all the data. Now he can filter by a particular location. Okay, so in this case, you are not going to show everything, but you are providing your users the option to filter the data and then see the data that they care about. And that's when we use the slicer. So let's go to Power BI and then take a demo on how you can use these visuals to visualize the data. But before then, I'm going to pause here for maybe 2 minutes. If anyone has any question, then I can take it and then I move on to how you can use these visuals on your report. So if you have any question, you can use the chat and then I'll be able to read it out and then see how we'll be able to help you.
Hello, Festus.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks
Yeah,
for
good.
the presentation. Insightful. But I want to know if there's any data set we are going to use for the demo. I don't know if you've shared it already or you're yet to
Yes, I
share
have
with
shared
us.
a data set already. So let me see if someone can share it again. I have shared it, but the one I'm using currently is the same data set that we used yesterday. So I don't know if you joined the section yesterday. We are using the same link, the same data set for this.
Okay. Then that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Let me come to the chat. If anyone has any question. Okay, so someone is asking whether the tree map is the same as the heat map. No, please. The heat map is different from the tree map. Yeah, they are different. So the heat map is used to visualize the concept. Okay, virtually they are going to be the same. Yeah. So no, let me check. Let me check if they are the same. because heat map is used to show the concentration of a particular value within a location, but the tree map, hierarchically, let me confirm. I'm not sure. Yes, any other question? Okay, can we have the slides of your presentation? Okay, I will try and then share it with you as well. Can you tell us more about relationships in Power BI? Okay, relationships in Power BI. Wow. Okay. Okay, so I would the heat map, the tree map, and then the heat map are different. Okay, so the heat map, as I mentioned, is used to show the magnitude of how different dimensions changes over time. So here you are using colors to denote how, or you are using hue to denote the intensity of a particular item. But with the tree map, you are looking at hierarchical data, how a particular, just like the pie chart. So the tree map is just like the pie chart, just that we have the shape in the form of a rectangle or a square, but the heat map is different. Because the heat map, we use it to show the relationship between items, just like the scatter plot. Just like the scatter plot. Okay. Okay, so relationships in Power BI. Wow, okay. So let me try. Okay, this one, we have a relationship there. So let me show you that, then we go on with the visuals. Our time is almost up. So let me go to the relationships here. So when you talk about relationships, we are looking at this. Okay, let me go on with the visuals. If you have time, then I will take you through the relationships that we have in Power BI. Okay, so I will take you through that shortly. But let me cover the visuals. So as I mentioned, if you want to insert any visual, what you need to do is to come to the visualizations pane, and then you can select the visual that you want to use. So maybe I want to use a card. Then I just click on the visualizations here, and then the card will appear on the canvas. Then the card will appear on the canvas. Now here, what I need to do is to provide the metric that I want to visualize. So as I mentioned, the card is used to show a particular metric. So here, if you want to look at the revenue by region, you can't use this unless you want to show one specific item. So in this case, I want to look at my total revenue. So I just go to the visualizations and then pick a card. The next thing is to provide the field that I'm going to visualize. So here I want to visualize my total sales. So what I will do is to go to my data and then pick the KPI that I want to visualize. So here I'll go to my sales here, and then I have my total sales. So I'll just get the total sales, or maybe my total profits. So I just drag it into the first area. And now I have my total profits here. So you can see that this is showing one specific item. So here I can resize this and then put it here nicely. And then with all the visuals, we also have the formatting option that you can use to format them. So here you see that below the visualizations pane, after you have selected a particular visual, there's going to be 3 tabs. So here the first one has to do with the fonts. The next one has to do with the format. So when I go to the format, I can change so many things about this visual. Here I can go to the data label. And with the data label, if I want to increase it, I can increase the size here. Or I can make it just pick a number. So maybe 100. I can just pick 100 here. It can't go beyond 100. So maybe 80. Can't go beyond 80, maybe 50. Then you can resize it here. Okay. If I want to change the font, I can click on the drop down, and there are so many font styles that I can use, or the fonts that I can use for this visual. So here, most of the time, I prefer using the Sego UI or the Sego board. So you can use this to visualize the data. The same way, you can come to the category, okay, and also change it. Maybe you want to increase the size. You can also use this option here to increase the size. And maybe you also want to change the font, you'll be able to change it. Maybe the color, You want to change the color, you can also use this to change the color. The same way, if I want to change the color for my data label, I can also change it from here. And you'll be able to change it from here. Okay, so with all the visuals, we have some of these formatting options that are common to all the visuals. So this is about the card. But there may be some instances where you want to visualize different KPIs at the same time. I can go ahead with a card, a multi-card or a multi-row card. So this, I want to show my total profit. I want to show my total profit. So my total profit is here. I want to show my total cost. So I just check the box. I want to show my total cost. I want to show the total quantity. I want to show my profit margin. I can also pick it here. And with this, I can resize it nicely here. And all of them will be on the same card. So with this, I can also go to the data label and then decide to change the size. So I have all of them here. Now you are going to have all the KPIs all on the same card. You'll be able to see all of them at the same time. So that's how the multi-row card also works. Then let's look at the KPI. This KPI here. This one provides more context as compared to using just the card, because this card is showing our total profit to be 265 million. But this one, is it positive or is it negative? Are you moving forward or we are coming backwards? You wouldn't be able to get those insights from this card. But when you use a KPI, I can decide to visualize my total profit. So here I'll pick my total profit. But whilst I'm showing my total profit, I want to see whether this is a positive change from that of last year. So I can come here and pick my profit for last year as my target. Now you see, after providing the indicator and the target, you see that there's nothing on the chart. It needs to have a trend axis before it works. And this, you have to put anything date. So it could be year, it could be month, it could be quarter, or it could be a full date. So here I'll come to my calendar table and then get a date. So maybe I'm looking at this performance by year. So I can drag the year into the trend. Now immediately do that, you'll be able to see it here. So this, we have this profit here for the current year that we are looking at. Now it's going to compare this to our total profit last year. And it tells you that this is a decrease of 50.9% from that of last year. So even though our profit is 24 million here, we are able to measure this to see whether this is a progress that we are making or is actually, or whether we are actually declining. So this tells you that we have actually decreased our profit. So using the KPI, it provides you with more context as compared to using just a card. So this is how the KPI also works. Now with the other visuals, they are very simple and then straightforward, okay? Now let me take you through some of the AI visuals that we have in Power BI and how they work, the AI visuals, how they work within Power BI. So what I would do is to come here and I'm going to insert a new page. So here, one of the KPIs, one of the AI visuals that we have in Power BI is the decomposition tree. The decomposition tree. Now with the decomposition tree, we use it in ad hoc analysis. So you want to quickly analyze the data to see how a particular metric is being broken down by different dimensions. You can use the decomposition tree to do that. So here, when you come to the visuals, we have this visual here, decomposition tree. So when I click on the decomposition tree, you'll be able to break down a particular metric into different dimensions. So here we are doing a root cause analysis. So we are saying that our profit is 50,000. Now I want to dig deeper into what makes up the 50,000. You'll be able to use the decomposition tree to do that. So here, let's look at something here. I'll come to my sales table. I have my total profit. Okay, so here, when it comes to the field, we have analyze, and then we have explain by. So the analyze is the KPI that you want to analyze. Can we send data from Python directly to Power BI for visual? Okay, so here using this, we want to analyze our total profit. okay, by looking at how this total profit came about. So maybe you want to analyze it by product. So here, explain by, I'll go to my product table and then explain this by product category, and then maybe explain it by the segment, and also go to my geography data and then look at the profit by city, by region, and then by state. So here you don't see it. We have this plus button here. So you can choose this to split the data. So I want to split this by category. Now you'll be able to determine how this total profit here is made up in terms of the product category. So it tells you that this is the percentage, or this is the amount that we got from the urban category. This is the profit for the mix. This is the profit from youth. This is the profit from accessory, and this is the profit from rural. So with this, you have been able to break it down to see that in terms of the category, that's how much we're able to get from each of these product categories. Maybe I want to break this down further by looking at it in terms of maybe segments. I can also visualize it in terms of segments. So with this total of 230 million here, we want to break it down by segments. So here you'll be able to get the breakdown in terms of segments within the same visual. Here, maybe with the moderation here, we want to break it down by looking at it in terms of states. I can also pick states, and you'll be able to see the performance in terms of the states. And it has been arranged. So it means that if we come to the moderate, in terms of the states, this state is giving us the highest profit. If I want to look at different segments, I can just select it, and I'll be able to see the breakdown. If I select this, I'll be able to see the breakdown. If I pick this, I'll be able to see the breakdown. Maybe I want to dig deeper into the total profit for mix. I can just select the node for mix, and now you'll be able to see the category here. Maybe I want to break down the productivity. I just click on this. It's going to break it down by state, and you'll be able to see the performance in terms of state. Maybe for all season, you can pick this and you'll be able to see this. Maybe I want to dig deeper and then pick maybe by city. You can also see the performance by city. Okay, so all the cities are here. So this is giving you the breakdown of the total revenue or the total profit that we have here. If maybe I want to look at maybe this state, then you also get the breakdown. Maybe by this state, you also get the breakdown. Maybe by this, you'll be able to get the breakdown. And this is the decomposition tree. It helps you to dig deeper into a particular metric and see how that particular metric came about. Okay, so that's how the decomposition tree also works. Now let me show you another one, and that has to do with the key influencer. So sometimes you want to really dig deeper into your data to see what influences a particular KPI. Maybe your total profit, you want to determine what influences a particular KPI to increase or decrease. So maybe our total profit, we want to find out what influences our total profit to increase or decrease. You can use the key influencer, which will help you to determine the items that influences a particular metric to change. So for example, here, when it comes to the visuals, we have the key influencers here. So when I click on this, the visual is going to be inserted, so I can expand this. So here, just like using the decomposition tree, we have the analyze and then explain by. So the analyze has to do with the KPI that you want to analyze. So here I want to analyze my total profit. So I'll come to my sales table and get my total profit. Now I want to determine what influences my total profit to increase or decrease. So here I want to look at the factors. So there are some factors that I want to see. Which of them drives my total profit? So here what I need to do is to select the factors that I want to evaluate to see which of them influences my total profit to increase or decrease. So here I want to look at, is it the product category or is it the segment? And then I go to my geography. Is it the state? Is it the district or the region that influences it to change? Then I come to my customers or maybe campaigns. Is it the device or the traffic channel that influences the sales to go up or decrease? Now it runs algorithm on this and come up with the items that will cause my profit to go up or to decrease. So if you take a look at this, the key influences here says that what influences the total profit to increase. It says that when the category is urban, the average of the total profit increases by this margin. Then when the segment is convenience, this is how much is able to influence my total profit. So through that, I'll be able to see that, okay, so these are the category which is influencing my total profit the most. So in that case, if I need to come up with any sales strategy, then I have to take this particular category into consideration if I'm looking at my total profit. Maybe you don't want to look at what influences the total profit increase. Maybe you want to look at what influences our total profit to decrease. You can pick decrease, and it's going to run analysis on this to come up with this. So it says that our total profit decreases when the category is accessory, and then when the segment is also accessory, and then when the segment is productivity. And that's how much they are able to decrease our total profit by when they change. Okay, so through that, I'll be able to see the key things that are influencing a particular metric that I'm interested in. Now, if you want to go into dig deeper into what actually influences the whole thing, then you can go to your top segment. It's going to group your analysis into different segments. So you have segment 1, segment 2, segment 3. So if I want to get details of each of the segments, I can click on this. It breaks it down for me, and this is one segment. And then it gives you the impact that they have on our total profit. So this is how you can also use the key influences to be able to identify the items that really affect a particular KPI. So let me show you another demo here. Let me do a new share on the KPI. This. So this, we are looking at, this data is about App Store. Okay, so we have some apps. Now we have the user rating. Okay, I'm sharing the right screen. Okay. So here we have the apps here. Let me take a table view of this. So here we have the app, the name of the app, the currency, the version of the app, the content rating, the category of the app, the user rating, the size of the app, the user rating count, the price, number of devices, number of languages, and then the size of the app, and then the price tag, whether it's free or it's paid. Now we have the user rating here. We want to determine what influences the user rating. Is it the app category? Is it the version of the app? Is it the number of devices the app supports? Or is it the number of languages that is able to support? Or is it the price of the app that influences the user rating? We can do that using the KPI or the key influencer visual. So here what I will do is to pick my key influences. I'm going to put it here. Now I want to analyze what influences the user rating. So I can put my user rating here. Now I want to determine, is it the app category? Then I select it as the explained by. Or is it the content rating? Or is it the number of devices? Or is it the number of languages? Or is it the price? Or maybe the size of the app? Or whether it's the version. So here, after you select all the explained by fields, it runs algorithms on this, and then it gives you the items that influences our user rating. So here it says what influences our user rating to increase. What influences our user rating to increase? And these are the insights. When the number of languages is more than 4, when the app supports a high number of languages, then it causes the user rating to go up. And I believe this is reasonable. Because once you have it in different languages, it means you have a lot of people who are going to be using the app, and they end up giving you some user rating. So here it says that the user rating increases when the number of languages is more than 4. And then when the size is also more than this is how much the user rating is going to increase by. And then when the app category is productivity, and when the category is music, you also stand a chance of getting a high user rating. And when the price is more than 0.99, that's how much is going to cause it to increase. And then when the number of devices is 35 or less, and when the category of the app is games, it's going to also influences the user rating to go up. Now let's change this. What will cause our user rating to go down or decrease? It's going to run analysis. And it says that when the number of languages is from 1 to 2, it's going to cause our user rating to decrease. And when the content is 17 plus, and when the size is this or less, or when the price is this or less, or when the number of languages is 0 to 1, this is how much they are going to cause our user rating to decrease. If you want to go into deeper, you can look at the segment that we have. So this one is the highest one, the one with the highest influence. Then you'll be able to see those categories that are really causing our user rating to decrease. So when the content is not 17 plus, number of languages is less, and these are the insight that we are getting from this. So using the key influencer, you'll be able to do all these analysis. Now let me go back to this report. Now let's look at the next key AI-driven visual, and that has to do with the Q&A. So with the Q&A, it gives you the opportunity to ask questions about your data using natural language. So here, after developing your report, maybe you have not been able to actually, you want to give your users the opportunity to also ask their own questions. You can use the Q&A visual, which you can ask questions just using normal language. You're not going to use anything, just normal English. You ask questions and you'll be able to get the insight. So here I want to determine my maybe. So here, this way you can ask the question. So after inserting it, there's this ask question box where you can type in your question. So here I will say total profit. Just that, you just pick this and it gives you your total profit. Maybe total quantity, right? Total quantity. Just total quantity. Let me see how I spot the quantity. Okay, so here I'm looking at my total quantity. Just type that. This one has to go. Total my total quantity is going to give me my total quantity. Maybe I want to see total profit by city. When you do that, it gives you your total profit by city on a bar chart. A bar chart here. Maybe I want to see my total sales by state. Total sales by state. Let me spell my state well. Total sales by state is going to come up with this. Just using normal English. Maybe I want to look at total sales by state on a map. Now, when you do that, it's going to come up with a map. Let me press enter. Now it's going to visualize everything on a map, just using normal or plain English. Visualize my total sales by state on a map. It's going to plot everything on a map for me. I didn't do anything. I didn't analyze the data. I didn't do anything. Just using the Q&A, using the normal English, you'll be able to get this insight from your data using the Q&A. Now let me show you the last thing under the AI visuals. Now let me go back to my dashboard here. Now, I have this data here. So here we are looking at our total profit. Here we are looking at our total profit over years. So you have 2011, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now, if you take a look at this, you can see that within 2015, our total sales went, okay, it's the total revenue. Our total revenue went up. Now, I want to find out what accounted for the increase in our total sales in 2015, or what accounted for the total or the increase in the revenue in 2015. I can just hover my mouse over the 2015 visual or the series, right click, and then I will see this option here. Let me select it, right click, and I'll see this option here, analyze. Using this analyze option, Power BI is going to analyze it to find out what accounted for the increase in the total revenue. So here, when I pick analyze, I have two options. Explain the increase. Now watch this. Power BI has identified that there's actually an increase. So it's giving this option here, explain the increase. Now let's pick something here. Let me click outside and then clear off the filter here. Now, if you take a look at 2012, there was a decrease from 2011. When I hover my mouse and then I right click, you see the option here, explain the decrease. So it has identified that with the series that we have selected, there was actually a decrease. So here, if I want to get the reasons, I can just click on explain the decrease. And it's going to run algorithm on this and come up with the insight, what accounted for the decrease in my total revenue for 2012. Now here, look at something. Here is the analysis of the 0.64% decrease in the total revenue. So it has been able to identify the percentage decrease in our total revenue between 2011 and 2012. Now, this is the insight that we are getting here. So here it tells you, or it gives you the reasons why we are having the decrease. It's saying that SEO had the most significant decrease among the traffic channel. So the reason why we had that decrease is because of this. So if you compare this, you see that in 2011, this is the total revenue that we had for SEO. It's around 90 million. But in 2012, it had only 12 million. And that's one of the factors or one of the reasons why we had a decrease in 2012. So as analysts, you have presented your data. You also want to find out what accounted for our decrease in 2012. This will help you to come up with that insight. When you scroll further, you'll be able to get more information regarding why our total revenue decreased in 2012. So with this, I can pick any of the insights. So maybe the first insight is what I want to add. If I want to add this to my report, I can just click on this plus button here, and I'll be able to add this to my report. So when I click the plus here, I'll be able to add the insight to my report. So here, when I click outside, when I come here, I have this visual here. Let me clear up this. Now I come here, I have this visual here. So I can also add this to my report. Okay. Now let me. So that I've got my sound and audio load file and give me a little. Now let me also take a look at this. Now let's look at the increase. So I will select this, right click, or not even select it. Just hover your mouse over it, right click and pick analyze. Explain the increase. Now this will analyze my data and come up the reasons why we had increase in 2015. So here, if you take a look at this, this is the product that really accounted for our increase in 2015. Because if you compare the performance in 2014, this was around 5 million. But in 2015, we had 16 million. So this product is the product that really drove our increase in the total revenue in 2015. So using this, you'll be able to dig deeper into your data to get some insight that you wouldn't be able to get on the face. By using AI and machine learning in Power BI, you'll be able to get all these insights that will help you to better tell story with your data. So I'm going to pause here. If you guys have any questions, then you can ask. Okay, so I'm looking at the chat. Okay, someone is asking, can you send data from Python directly to Power BI for visual? So here, when it comes to the visualizations pane that we have here, we have the Python visual here. So if you are somebody who is coming from Python background and you want to be able to utilize your Python data and visualize it in Power BI, you can use this Python visual here. You also have the R script visual. So you can also use this if you have the R code and you want to run it within Power BI. You'll be able to do that using these options. So when I go to Python, here you can put in your script or your code here, and you'll be able to run it. And you'll be able to use your Python script or code within Power BI and then prepare your dashboard or your report. So you can actually do that here. Okay. Okay, let me come in. Can you see all categories at the same time? I don't understand this question here. Can we see all the categories at the same time? MA, kindly come again with your question. For example, let's take sensor data. Its frequency occurs at, can you be reflected in real time? So if there's any delay in display. So with Power BI, you can also set up the refresh time. So you can set the interval under which the data will be refreshed. Okay. So if you set those automatic refresh or the refresh option, when it should be the data should be refreshed. You can do all these settings that will help you to make sure that the data is up to date. So you can set this automatic reflection time or when your visuals are supposed to be, or your reports are supposed to be refreshed. Someone is saying, interesting, Power BI is superior to Tableau. Okay, with that one, I can't I can't really tell which one is superior, but it depends on the usage, okay, what you want to do, and then how you can. I believe these tools have their own advantages and disadvantages. So I don't think one is superior to other, but it depends on how you want to use it and then the organizational requirement. So it seems okay. Can we send data from Python that, okay, I have answered this question. Can we do highlight? How do you highlight a selected visual for your data? How do you highlight a selected visual for your data? Okay, for example, let's take, I'm not getting this question. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let me go to YouTube to find out if you have any question. Okay, we don't have any questions from YouTube. Let me see. Okay, we don't have any questions. So let me come back to Zoom. Is anyone having any question regarding what I have presented on? Okay. Okay. So if there are no questions, I will give room for our next presentation on Tableau. So those of us who just look at the Power BI and then you are thinking Power BI is better than Tableau, we are also going to have a section on Tableau to determine for yourself which one is more powerful, Okay, how do you create story using Power BI? Because that's what we have done here, coming up with visuals that will be able to make sure that you'll be able to tell your story. So the AI visuals are one of the ways that you'll be able to get some insights about your data and you can use it to tell a story, okay? So coming up using your visuals, you'll be able to tell compelling story with your data. So what you do is that your visuals should only focus on the key insights that your audience are interested in. Okay, so you have to focus on the key items your audience are interested in. So before you even come up with your report, you have to understand your audience, what their interests are, what are their pain points, and then you try to use Power BI to tell story that will help them to answer their questions. Okay, so that's how you can do that. So Power BI is not like Tableau where you have a story. Okay, here you can use just the report to be able to tell your story. Okay. Okay, so you can't really do a presentation mode like Tableau story. No, here you can't do a presentation mode, but what you do is that you can select a visual and then you can go to focus mode. When you go to focus mode, you'll be able to focus on that particular visual. But if you want to be able to tell, like, use stories like what we have in Tableau, then what you do is that you can create buttons that will help you navigate to different pages within your report. For example, here I can go to insert and then I can go to buttons. Okay, when you go to insert and you go to element, we have buttons. So I can insert a blank button. And then with this button, I can navigate to different pages within the report. So when I select this button, I go to format button. Then we have this option here, action. Okay, so there are so many things in Power BI that will help you to tell more interactive story. Okay, like using bookmarks, using buttons, using tooltips. You'll be able to get all those insights. Okay, so using this, let me show you a report that I have here. Let me see if I'll be able to find it. So that I will show you some of the things that you'll be able to do that do in Power BI. Okay, I have Netflix here. So you can also tell a story using bookmarks and then using tooltips, using buttons. You'll be able to tell story just like what we have in Tableau. Just that we are looking at different things. So we achieve these things using different options. Okay, so I'm showing you a very simple report that I built. And then you'll be able to see some of the functionalities that we have in Power BI that I have not been able to demonstrate. So I have this Netflix financial reporting here. So this is a financial report that I built in Power BI. So with this, if your users want to move to maybe the balance sheet, okay. So those of us who have accounting background, you understand the financial statement. So with this, you'll be able to get some tooltips, okay. So when you hover your mouse over any of this, you get some tooltip about that particular line. So here we are looking at technology and development. When you hover your mouse over this, it tells you that technology and development changed by this amount. This represents a year-over-year change of this amount. When I come here, it gives me that. So it's very dynamic. You can use these two tips to be able to tell stories. Now, if my users want to go to the balance sheet, they can just use this option here, click here, and then this will lead them to the balance sheet, where they can also get some insight from the balance sheet. If they want to go back to the income statement, they can use this button to navigate back to the income statement. Okay, so you have so many. Look at these buttons. When you hover your mouse over this, it gives you the net profit for last year. Okay, so there are so many things that you can do using this option. This one is showing the yearly. If I want to show quarterly, I'll be able to do that using a bookmark. Okay, you'll be able to do all these things. So there are so many things that you can do in Power BI, just that we wouldn't be able to go through all of them. How do you change colors in Power BI? Okay, so this is how you'll be able to change the colors. Change what colors? The colors for your visuals. Let me check. Okay, your chart. Okay, so now let me go back to the report that we are using here. So here, let me get a very simple chart. So maybe I have this column chart here. Let me use this column chart here. So with this, I want to see my total cost by maybe a particular, maybe by device. So these are the colors that we are using. If you want to change the color, you come to the format, and then you come to data colors. When you come to data colors, you can change the default color, pick something like this, or maybe you want to pick any of these colors, you'll be able to use that. If you have a color code, okay, and you want to use the color code, maybe your company has a specific colors, then you can use the color code here to be able to customize the colors for your visuals. Okay. So if there are no questions, let's make way for our next presentation, which is going to be on getting started with Tableau. So here we are going to have interaction with Philip, who is one of the most sought after data analysts in Ghana and West Africa. Now, Philip is a Tableau developer, and then he's one of the leading pioneers for Tableau user group in Ghana. So Philip is going to take us through how you'll be able to get started with Tableau. So Philip, if you're around, kindly take over the section and then take us through how you can also use Tableau to tell story.
Yeah. Good evening, good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, Philip, you can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Good evening to everyone. I don't know where other people are, but in Ghana it's good evening. So good evening to everyone. As has been said already, my name is Philip, and I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, we can see.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so this session is going to be a quick one, and I hope we all enjoy it. I'm going to talk about kickstarting your career. Sorry, I think there's so I'm talking about kickstarting your career in Tableau. And I was on the call and I heard a lot of things, comparison between Tableau and Power BI. And I think it's a nice comparison, but as data people, we have to learn how to use as many tools as is at our disposal. All right, so kickstarting your career in Tableau is not going to be a session where you are going to be taught Tableau. It's kind of a motivation session to anyone who is interested in learning or those who are already in it but need some kind of information so that they can get better. So as we'll be going through this roadmap in this presentation where I would tell you guys about a little bit about my background and my Tableau journey. Then we can switch to talking about Tableau. Then I have a session on a database triangle, which would also be important for Power BI users. And then I will share with you skills for successful career using Tableau. Then we will recap and have your questions, and I'll make time to answer every question. So along the presentation, if you have any question, just note it down so that at the end of the presentation, I'll make time to answer all those questions. So as has been said already, my name is Philip and I'm the Senior Data Analyst at Big Data Ghana Limited. So at Big Data Ghana Limited, we basically develop big data products for our clients. And we work for, we have a lot of clients like the Electoral Commission of Ghana, ministries, Ministry of Sanitation, and all those government institutions and private ones as well. So I happen to be the senior data analyst here. And back in 2020, I was, let me say, the first Ghanaian to be a Tableau featured author. And I would throw more light on what a Tableau featured author is. And as was said earlier, Tableau is not really used in Ghana here. So a few of us, in fact, after I was featured as the Tableau, as a Tableau featured author, a lot of calls were coming. So we had to form a Tableau user group in Ghana. So we are a team of 3 leaders leading the Accra Tableau user group. So a little bit about my background. I have had about 4 years working in analytics, and for Tableau, I've been using it for almost 3 years, or let's say a little over 3 years. And it's been an interesting journey. I think I have to share how I got into Tableau, or how I got into this whole data thing. And I don't know if I should tag this session as a motivational session, because I'm actually a medical person. I'm not a data or an IT person. So if you find yourself on this call and you are now starting, you can also get somewhere. I didn't do anything IT. I didn't do anything business. I didn't do anything computer. I was learning about the human body, how to find diseases, how to cure them, what is wrong with this person. That was what I was taught to do. But I was presented an opportunity to do something else. And I'm someone who wants to try new things each and every day. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm able to do amazing things in the data space. So last year, I had my certification from Tableau. So if you want to be a Tableau professional, you sit and write an exam that will certify you and it will set you apart. So last year I got my Tableau certification as a certified desktop specialist with other accomplishments. So in the Tableau community, you have badges that you can display to show the knowledge you have. So I have badges for Tableau analyst, Tableau designer, Tableau server administrator, and a Tableau author. So as I was saying, my Tableau journey, when I had the opportunity to learn something new, I chose to learn data science. So I have learned SQL, I have learned Python. Then I was also presented the opportunity to learn Tableau. So I learned this in a company called B Systems, also in Accra. So I had someone there who taught me the basics. So the rest, everything I know now is more like self-taught. I taught myself. It's quite challenging, but for someone who always wants to learn something new, it's achievable. So it's still a journey. I'm still learning. I'm not there yet where I want to be. I'm still learning. So the journey so far has been one that is more, is very fun and accomplishing. So when I started working with Tableau, I didn't know what I actually didn't know what I was doing. We were just visualizing the data. Then later we came to realize that you can create dashboard because the guy who was also helping me was kind of now learning. So we were learning together. So this was my first Tableau dashboard. I don't know if for now when I look at it, it's quite interesting. Like looking at where I'm coming from, and this was the first dashboard I could build in Tableau using publicly available data about unemployment in the US. So it was just an area chart, stacked area chart that I built with the legend, and this was my first ever Tableau dashboard. And you can imagine this is even just one chart, but it is my dashboard because we know a dashboard will be a collection of different charts and information. So this was my first Tableau dashboard, and it's good to keep track of what you have done because it helps you to know the your development. So after this, I learned a lot, and I could start creating other different charts. So the chart on the left, I learned how to create temperature charts. This one is not really a chart in Tableau, but there are calculations and tricks that you can use to create this. So this was, let's say, my second. So I was getting better. Then I went to the next one, which was talking about the convention visits in Las Vegas, which is also a publicly available data that was shared in the Tableau community. So you can imagine I started from here. I started from just building an area chart. Then I started developing. Then I was able to build charts and even add images. It was all a learning curve. So I was able to create this dashboard as well, smartphone ownership by age. And also, I think I'm a football fan, a Barca fan. So last season, Messi reached a milestone, 700 goals for club and country. So I got a data set, and I also created this dashboard. This dashboard. Then along the line, I have been able to create all these dashboards that I feel proud of now because where I started was really poor. Or let me say, no, let me not use poor. It wasn't encouraging. But now I'm able to create all these visuals, dashboards for presentation. This one too has a social media sentiment report dashboard I built. But the one in the middle was one of the toughest, which talks about Leo Messi, his record-breaking season where he scored over 50 goals. So I visualized how he scored all the goals. So every chart has the match, the process that led to the goal, the passes, the ones that are penalties are shown, the ones that are he scored with the left, those who are providing assists. So it was an in-depth dashboard that I was able to do. So you can see how the progress has been going. So it's been going from having the basic knowledge and continuously improving myself. And recently, the last dashboard here is part of a product Big Data Ghana has built for Parliament of Ghana. So this dashboard checks parliamentary attendance and all those information they require. So now let's talk about the Tableau software. So I think everyone or most of us here are conversant with data visualization, how we data analysts are sharing our insights. So visualization is a way of both analyzing and sharing your insights. So Tableau software is also as we know, is a data visualization analysis tool with a catalog of products. And for me, I use Tableau almost every day in my work. I use Tableau almost every day in my work, and it's a nice or an interesting tool to know how to use. So why someone would ask why they should learn Tableau or why they should learn data visualization. So the first reason will be data skills are in demand. Now, if you check the job market, everyone is talking about data. Data is the new oil. So the data skill is in demand. And the earlier you learn how to use a tool in analyzing the data and understanding what it does really, the better. And Tableau is a market leading visualization tool. If you check the Gartner Magic Quadrant, you realize that Tableau and Power BI are the market leaders when it comes to data visualization and analysis. So it's always between Tableau and Power BI. And since most of us are learning Power BI, I think it will also be of great importance or great benefit to add Tableau skills to it. Tableau can also be used in all industries from health, engineering, business. So Tableau is industry agnostic. It can fit every industry you find yourself. If you find yourself in the transportation sector, you can use Tableau there. And Tableau is very easy to learn. It's easy to learn. Once you understand the basics and you master them, you are on the good path to learn and discover amazing things for yourself. With Tableau, we have a free and open source version, that's the Tableau Public. And I will talk about that too. And one thing that I like that sets Tableau apart for me is the Tableau community. We have a community of dedicated Tableau users who are always sharing their insights, sharing their knowledge, giving reviews about dashboards, giving reviews or sharing blog posts about new features and interesting stuff. So the Tableau product catalog. Tableau has a lot of products, but I chose only 3 because these are the ones that are mostly used. So the Tableau desktop is like let me liken it to Microsoft Word that you used to create documents, you used to create visualizations, dashboards, and share them. And once you are sharing your dashboards on using Tableau, we have Tableau Server where for an organization, after creating the dashboard, you share it on the server so that everyone would have up-to-date access to the workbooks and views. So if it's a team that is working on a project, everyone has access to the dashboard to ask questions, to find answers. If there's a presentation that's going on somewhere with access to the server, Tableau server, you have your dashboards right in front of you. Even on every mobile device, every electronic device, you can access your dashboard. And we have Tableau Public, which is free but has limitations. So Tableau Public is like a subset of Tableau Desktop. That is not licensed. That one you can use for free. It has limitations when it comes to connecting your data sources because the Tableau Desktop can connect to over 50 different data sources. But Tableau Public can connect to only about 5 or 6. And with the Tableau Public, you can't save your work. You always have to publish your work on a public server that everyone can see and download. So if you are working with sensitive data, you can't use Tableau Public. But the Tableau Public software or platform was introduced said that people can learn and practice their skill when it comes to Tableau. So I introduced this just as a refresher or as an added information because we are data people. We have to understand the skills we need to acquire when it comes to visualizing data. It applies to Power BI and it applies to Tableau as well. To be able to visualize data well and present it in a format that is easily understood or that is easy to understand, you must have data skills, design skills, and also the tools. So when it comes to having data skills, you should be able to collect data or you know how to collect data, how to wrangle data, understand how to shape clean data and build data structures. And you should have basic statistics knowledge because you are working with data, you'll be giving insights, you have to understand statistics. And the tools, we are talking about the BI tools, Tableau, Power BI, Microsoft Excel. And also people use code, Python, SQL, and also you need a pen and a paper. Why is that important? Because before you design a dashboard before you build a report, you should have the outcome of what you want to do. So for me, I use a pen and paper a lot to design the dashboard even before I start building the dashboard or building the visuals. And when it comes to design, you need to understand the principles of layout, where you are placing a bar chart, where you are placing a pie chart, where you are placing a donut chart, where you are placing a line chart. All this, you have to understand the layout, the fonts you are using, and the colors to use when, especially you are presenting your dashboard to people who are who have color impairment or challenges with seeing color. And also you should be well versed in UX and UI design, not necessarily with websites, but generally understanding how interfaces or how to communicate well with an interface. So now I'm now switching to kickstarting your career in Tableau. So how do you kickstart? The first to do is to master the basics. Master the basics. I joined the Power BI sessions, and I realized there were a lot of questions. People were enjoying the session. So what basically you are trying to do is to understand and master the basics. And that is the most critical aspect when it comes to Tableau. You can't just start building nice dashboard. You have seen someone build a nice dashboard and you also want to do that. Those people who build that started by understanding the basics. So understanding the basics come by learning. And because I work in big data, I will talk about our opportunities. Big data, Ghana, we have Tableau training courses that we offer people who are interested both online, and we also have a Tableau classroom. So we train people. We have specialists who train people both online, both virtual and in person. So these training programs are still running. So if there are people who still are interested in learning, my contact, I will share the slides with you and you'll be able to access every contact, how to contact me there. So with this mastering of the basics, you'll be learning the data visualization best practices, because you just don't start analyzing or visualizing data. You have to understand the best practices. And once you understand the best practice, then you can move to the next step of practice. So practice makes permanent. For me, I don't think practice makes perfect. Practice makes permanent. I mean, it makes your skill that you have mastered get stuck to you. So how do you practice? As I mentioned earlier, there is a public or a free app, Tableau Public. So with the Tableau Public, you are able to practice working with your data. Yes, that has a few limitations. But for someone who is learning, you use Tableau Public because the Tableau desktop is around $840 US a year. So with the public, you'll be able to practice your skill. And in the Tableau community, there are lots of projects going on that can help you to better your skill. We have Makeover Monday. For Makeover Monday, a data set is made available every Sunday. And the data set is connected to a visualization that has been found. And when that data set is made public, what you are supposed to do is to visualize that data in a way you think will be best to present that kind of data. So Makeover Monday is more like challenging you to make an already existent visual better. We also have Iron Quest, which was introduced by a woman called Sarah. So this is more like they take a particular topic. So they can take a topic like, let's say, basketball. So they will be visualizing data on basketball only. And these are ways that you practice your skill. We also have Project Health Viz. So the Health Viz, they talk about health matters. So if you are a health person interested in this, you can use these particular projects to practice and build your skill. So when it comes to starting your career, first you have to master the basics and you have to practice your skill regularly. So the next is learning how to ask the right questions of your data. So this is a general requirement for all data platforms, Power BI and Tableau as well. You should learn how to ask questions of your data. And it is one of the cycles when you are analyzing your data. It gets to a point where you should be able to ask questions of your data even before you start analyzing them. Whether your data is trustworthy, is your data complete, what other data do you need to add to answer the questions you are looking at? But there are data sets or there are problems that you need to sort for external data sources so that you join or you relate them and you start working with them. Then the next is to study design fundamentals. So in our work as data people or data visualization people, we present our findings in the form of visual. So if you don't understand the design principles, it's going to be, you are going to present information that people may not be interested in, or in the end, it may not impact the problem you want to solve. So one thing that we should take note of is if you are a web designer, the web designing principles does not apply to data visualization. You have to really understand the best practices when it comes to data visualization. And in the Tableau community, all these are links to those resources. So once you have the presentation, you can visit all these resources. One of my favorites is the Big Book of Dashboards. So all this book has about 25 different dashboards. It talks about how best you can place your charts, how you can arrange them, the information is to add. In fact, if you are a Power BI person or you are stuck to only Power BI, you can check out all these resources, Reflections in Data by Sam Parsons. It's also a very great resource that can help you to understand the design principles when it comes to designing your dashboard. And I don't know about Power BI, but Tableau allows you to also integrate other designing platforms like Adobe Illustrator. You can also use Figma in Tableau. You can use even Microsoft PowerPoint. There are visuals that you use Microsoft PowerPoint to create the template. Then you just float your charts on it, and it is very nice. I think one of my dashboards, I use Figma. Mostly Figma is one of the tools that are very interesting. They are nice to use and free. Anyone who is interested can check it out. So one important way to also improve your Tableau skills is to publish your work. Sometimes when you start learning Tableau, you are scared of what people are already doing. You see other people designing very serious dashboards that are very nice. You see, you want to do some. But because you are starting out, you are building a portfolio, especially if you are using Tableau Public. You build a portfolio, you create a Tableau Public profile. Most of these things, because it's a session that I'm just talking about these things, if you don't understand anything, you can get back to me now. I'll explain things deeper and more clearer for you if you don't understand. So with the Tableau Public, you create a profile where you can upload all the dashboards you built. And of course, it should be data that is not so confidential, data that you can share with the public. And once you share your data or your dashboards, you have to also share it on Twitter. Now I see a lot of Tableau people sharing their dashboards on Twitter, on LinkedIn, even on Instagram and Pinterest. So there are hashtags that you use that will let people know that you want a review or you want someone to review your work. So what happens is when people in the Tableau community see any of these hashtags, they visit your dashboard and they come back and write how they think you could have done it better. So once you publish your work, you are inviting more, let me put it, you are inviting more teachers. You are inviting more people to come and teach you even for free. What they will write, you should have done this, you should have done that, you should have used this chart instead. So through all those reviews, you use it to build your skill. And as I mentioned, your Tableau public profile, it shows your progression in your portfolio, because your first chart, I showed you my first dashboard. You could see that as the days and the years were going, it was the dashboards designing were getting better and better. So one tip is also to publish your work. The next is to engage with the community. Engage with the community. So wherever you are, there might be a Tableau user group around you. So the Tableau user group is a group of people who use Tableau in their work. So it's a place to network, it's a place to learn, it's a place to ask questions. And because of COVID now, most of the Tableau user groups are meeting virtual. So it even presents you the opportunity to join different Tableau user groups to learn. So if you visit the Tableau software profile account on YouTube, you see that most of these user groups meet and they upload their video there. So now in this dispensation of lockdown and coronavirus, you can tap into what is being shared in different Tableau user groups. So in Ghana, we have a Tableau user group in Accra, and so far we haven't been able to meet in person. It's just virtual that we meet. So the Tableau user group is not actually where you are going to start learning. It is where you are going to better yourself. So if you are starting a career, you should focus on one thing to look at is to find a Tableau user group in your country or in your city and join, and it will help you to network. And you can follow others too on Tableau Public as a way of engaging with the community. And for me, the last point, to join Twitter. For me as a person, on my Twitter profile, everything I'm engaging is when it comes to Tableau or data. So I can put it like I have a data or a Tableau Twitter. So the people I follow are all Tableau people. So what happens, or the importance of this is, whenever I go on Twitter, I don't see any other thing aside Tableau or data. Any other social media platform can be different, but when it comes to Tableau, because a lot of Tableau people are on Twitter and they are always sharing insights, sharing blog posts, sharing their dashboard, writing reviews for people. So you can also, well, if you want to start a career or you want to start your Tableau journey now, you can also consider that by creating a Tableau Twitter or a data Twitter. So you only follow people who are doing Tableau, who are doing data, who are doing Python, who are doing all those amazing things. And it's one way to help you to also go on. So once you get into the Tableau community, one thing that sets you apart is to get certified. So I mentioned earlier that I have a Tableau desktop license. I wrote it last year. And I don't know the records they have, but I think I should be part of the people who have the high, because I got 98%, and it's a way to prove your Tableau skills, and it's also a way to boost your CV and to help you to stand out from the crowd. So with the Tableau license, we have certification part. We have the desktop specialist, which I have, and it's an exam that lasts for an hour with 30 multiple choice questions costing $100. And it is valid forever. Once you have the specialist certification, you can consider yourself as a Tableau professional for the rest of your life. So the 30 multiple choice questions are not theoretical questions. They are actually data sets that you are using to answer those questions. And it is proctor monitored. Whilst you solve these questions, you have a proctor monitoring you from wherever they are with your webcam on. And actually, the exam is not written on your PC. Though it is online, you will use your PC to log in into a virtual PC that you answer the questions on. So it is very credible, and it's not that straightforward. People write and they fail and they write again and over again. So once you are done with the specialist, if you want to further upgrade yourself, you can sit for the associate exam, which costs around $250, and it will last for 2 hours. And the associate certificate is valid for 2 years. So after every 2 years, you have to sit and write. And the next step is the professional, which is hands-on. It's mostly practical throughout, and it's also valid for 3 years. So from the specialist, you can move to the associate, then you move to the professional. Each of them has its own criteria and its own questions that you answer. Okay, so after getting certified, you have to leverage on the Tableau community resources. The Tableau community is a very interesting community with lots of resources that can help you to better yourself. So if you are considering starting a Tableau career or building a strong knowledge base in Tableau, these are community resources that you can rely on. This Ways is by Andy Crable. Andy Crable is, let me see, one of the godfathers in Tableau. When it comes to Tableau, every Tableau person has watched or learned from Andy Crable. We also have Playfair Data. We have Tableau Magic by Tuan. Tuan is an amazing guy. He does amazing things with Tableau, things that you think are impossible. That's why he has this tag Tableau Magic. And we have the Flairlight twins. So all these guys, they create templates. They create templates that you can use to also build a portfolio for yourself. If you are building a chart that is similar to what they have built already, you can use that template and also tweak it a little to build your dashboard. So the community resources are very important when it comes to Tableau, and they are readily available, and there are a lot of people writing blog posts teaching people how to do some tips and tricks, how to apply it in your dashboard, how to apply it in your day-to-day work using Tableau. So we will just recap what we have talked about, then I think we can end the session. We have been learning a lot of technical stuff, so I decided to make this a simple conversation so that we don't bother our heads with too much information. So one way, or the ways you can use to become a better Tableau user, one, as I mentioned, is to master the basics. To master the basics, that you get the basics taught very well to build a strong foundation. Once you have the strong foundation, and with the strong foundation, I mentioned the Big Data Ghana Tableau training classroom. So if you are interested, you can reach out to me. So we have the second one is to practice regularly. Once you practice, you're able to refine your skills and also to choose projects that will challenge you. The third is to ask the right questions of your data. The fourth is to study design principles, layout, topography, and color. And the fifth was to publish your work, share your work, and seek reviews for people to help you, and also to engage with the community. With that, I mentioned having a Tableau or a data Twitter or data Facebook or wherever you are active on. Follow only the people who matter to this particular career that you are choosing for yourself. Because if you allow yourself to be distracted with all those news items and things that will not benefit you, you realize that your progress is stalling, but it helps you to keep you focused with the new path you are trying to take. And the seventh was to get certified. The certification sets you apart. Every employer who is looking for someone to employ is looking for people who are certified. Because as I said in my profile, I have 1 year consulting experience, about 1 year consulting experience. And what happens is employers all around the world, in US, in UK, they will contact you and they will need you to work on a project for them. So the data skills you acquire places you to work in places that you are not physically at. Because I have a lot of companies I consult for. They bring their issues and I solve them using my Tableau knowledge. And that's one of the benefits of getting certified. And also the last was to leverage on the Tableau community resources with all those blog posts, all those websites that you can learn new things on, you can discover new things on. So if you want to kickstart your career in Tableau, just stick to these eight points or 8 steps, and I think it will help you a lot. So I think that's the end. These are my contact details. You can find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or you can also email me. So I will share the presentation so that anyone who applied to be part of this program can have access. If you have any questions, if you have um, anything you want to ask, you can reach out to me and I'll be glad to help. So I think this is the end of the presentation on how to kickstart your career with Tableau. And thanks to Festus for this opportunity to talk about Tableau to you. Thank you very much. If there are questions, I would be glad to answer them. If there are no questions, I think we can end here.
Okay. Philip, thank you very much for the high-level introduction into starting your journey with Tableau. So guys, we have opened the platform. If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. If your background is not noisy, then you can speak and then our facilitator will help you out. So we have opened the platform. If you have any questions, you can use the chat or you can unmute and then we'll be able to sort you out. So first, let me check from YouTube if there are any questions. Okay, we don't have any questions from YouTube. Okay, so since we don't have any questions, so okay, let me see. So just 2 minutes. someone also wants to bring the argument again. So if you have to choose between Tableau and Power BI, which one is better?
Okay, so for me as a person, if you remember, when I was talking about the data viz triangle, I talked about having data skills, design skills, and the ability to use tools. So the tools that we are using, we are leveraging on Tableau, Power BI, Microsoft Excel, and the rest. So you don't have to get stuck to one tool. Every project you are working on, you have to know the requirements of that project. And based on the requirements of that project, you can use the requirement to decide on the tool you want to use. So you can't, it's better to have knowledge in either ways, whether it's Tableau, Power BI, just get the knowledge in this. When you are working on a project that requires Power BI, use Power BI. Because in the end, you are trying to put your best out there. So you don't get stuck to one particular software or a particular tool and be stuck that this is the best, so this is what I'm using. I hope the point is well made.
Yes, it's well made, Philip. Yeah. So as the data analyst, what I'll add is that you have to focus on solving the problem. You don't have to be overwhelmed by the tools. Okay. Just learn as many tools as you want. As and when you need to solve a problem, you decide on the one that will be able to help you out. So it's all about solving the problem, but not about the tools. Okay. So you don't have to, because there are so many tools out there. Each of them have their own advantages and then disadvantages. So you just have to know how to use them, but they shouldn't determine how you learn or how you solve the problem. You have to know how to solve the problem. Then you think about the tool that will help you to solve that problem. So this shouldn't be a debate. All of them are amazing tools that you can use. Okay. So let us not focus on that debate, but focus on your ability to solve problems using those tools. Okay. Yeah, so the webinar is available on the YouTube platform. So whenever you go to our YouTube platform, you'll be able to access the video. So let me share the link again.
I think there's a question from Sophia. So
okay,
what level of
okay.
Yeah, someone is asking the level of skill you need in a specialist certification. The level of skill you need in a specialist certification is not really a high level. The specialist certification really is just to test your basic understanding. So once you have mastered, or once you have mastered the basics when it comes to Tableau, you are good to go. Once you have mastered the basics when it comes to Tableau, you can take the specialist exam. Yeah, that you should just prepare well so that you don't waste your money.
Okay. Philip, can you share your LinkedIn profile? Yes. Okay. Let me share. You can use the chat. Maybe you can provide them the link directly to your LinkedIn profile.
I would share I've shared the presentation here in the chat. So the links to all those things I mentioned are there. So once you download, you have access to them.
Okay, sure. Okay, thank you. Okay, guys. TikTok. Just 2 minutes. If you have any comments, any questions, any contributions based on the presentations that we have had so far, maybe you asked a question and you have not been able to answer the question, you can also bring it up again. We are going to use this opportunity to answer the questions. So if you have any question regarding the entire presentations that we have had so far, you can bring it up and then we can close the chapter on that. But before any other question or waiting for the other questions, we are going to come up with the groups. So you have worked on the groups. You are going to send your team or the group that you are going to use to compete in the data challenge tomorrow. So you are going to send it via email with the details of your team members. So when you get that email, what you need to do is to contact your team members. So we try as much as possible to group you based on the location. So if you are someone in India, we are going to make sure we pair you with somebody around your location so that you don't need to incur some credit challenges trying to call each other. But you are trying, so those in Ghana are going to be grouped together so that you'll be able to contact yourselves easily. So tomorrow, God willing, we are going to send the list. So when you get the email, try and contact your team members. So you are going to include their contact and then their email addresses as well. So you can call them or you can send them an email about how you'll be able to meet. Then we're also going to include a link where you'll be able to access the data, which you are going to use for the challenge. But one thing is you have to make sure you read the instructions carefully about how you can participate in the program and what you are expected to do in terms of the submission. So you are going to share the link to the place where you can get the data and the instructions about the selection and then the final presentations. So make sure you read carefully about all these instructions so that when you start with the challenge, you wouldn't have any problems submitting your work. Okay, I hope questions posted on YouTube at any time will be responded. Yes, we are supposed to answer all the questions from YouTube. So let me see. As I check, there are no questions from the platform. But if you have further questions, when we meet next week, Saturday, for the data challenge, you can also bring up those questions as well. So since I've not seen any questions in the chat box as well as from the YouTube live stream, that's why we are going to wrap up the section for today. So we are going to meet next week. Will there be certificates upon completion? Yes, William, it's something that we are discussing. So we are going to communicate our final decision to you via email. Yeah. So we are going to meet here next week, Saturday, or this week, probably this week, Saturday, where we are going to start with the data challenge. So we are going to be announcing the teams. We are going to send the details of the teams who will be competing and how you can submit your work. And when is the sequel? Yeah, unfortunately, we're supposed to have the sequel today, but the instructor or facilitator scheduled for today wasn't able to make it. So we were not able to have the section on the sequel. But we are going to send you some free resources on our platform or our online portal where you can learn SQL. Okay. So unfortunately, we couldn't cover the section on SQL. If you get the opportunity next week, Saturday, we are going to give you the opportunity to also learn how you can also start with SQL. Someone is asking, can you explain the process once again? So what I'm saying is that tomorrow, God willing, or by close of day today, we are going to send your teams. Those of you who don't have teams yet, we have worked on the pairing. So we are going to be sharing the details of your team members with you via email. When you get the email, try and contact your team members. So to make the steps easier for you, we are going to pair you with people within the same countries so that in case you need to contact each other, you wouldn't have issues contacting each other. So those in Ghana will be paired with those in Ghana. Those who are in India will also be paired in the same direction. So when you get it, try and contact your team members, make arrangements about how you'll be able to collaborate and work on the project. Now, when we send the email, we are also going to include the list or the link where you'll be able to access the data as well as the instructions on the submission. So when you get the link, try as much as possible and read the instructions carefully so that we'll all be on the same page in terms of the submission and then the selection. So I've included everything on how you submit your work, what you should do after submission, and how you are going to select the teams who are going to compete in the final challenge. So what will happen is that we give you the data. After analyzing the data, you share the dashboard, a one-page dashboard on LinkedIn. So you are going to tag FestMan Data Hack and then our LinkedIn page. When you do that, our team will be able to get that dashboard. We are going to compile all of them, and then we are going to sit and then pick the best 6 dashboards that are insightful and presentable. Then those 6 people or the 6 teams will get the opportunity to present on Saturday. So when they are presenting, they are going to prepare a slide deck and take us through how they were able to do their analysis and came up with those insights that they shared. So it's only 6 people who are going to compete in the final challenge on Saturday. But all of the teams will have access to the data. You are going to work on it, and then you share your insights on LinkedIn, upon which you are going to pick the 6 teams who are going to compete in the finals. Somebody is asking, will you be provided the data? Yes, we are going to provide you with the data set, which you are going to analyze. So we are going to provide that to you. So you don't have to worry about the data. We are going to provide you with the data that you are going to use. Please, how do you do how do those interested in SQL and Python take part in the challenge? So those who are interested in SQL and Python, if you already have the background in SQL and Python, you can use it to participate in the challenge. By the end, we are going to use your final dashboard. So after doing everything, if you can use Python to prepare your dashboard, you can do it in Python. If you prefer using Tableau or Power BI or Excel or any of the data analytics and the BI tools, you have that opportunity to do that. So here, we are not going to restrict you on the kind of tool that you can use. You can choose to do anything, provided you have the skill to do that. Provided you have the skill. Yeah, so the data will be provided. Okay, the data we provide it to you via email or the link where you can access the data. So we are going to provide everything to you. So as far as you are registered for this program, we have your email. So we are going to send the link to you where you'll be able to access the data. Okay. So do you plan to have a section on big data as well, like Hadoop? Yes. So going forward, we are going to have the next hackathon in August. So with that one, we are going to focus on all these big data analytics tools, and then the other ones that we were not able to cover in this section. Okay. So as we go along, we may be bringing in those tools and how you'll be able to use them. Okay. Someone is asking for my LinkedIn profile link. So I'm sharing it right away. So my LinkedIn link is in the chat. So those of us who want to get in touch, you can also get in touch with me via this link. So guys, we appreciate your time, okay, for joining us and making this section successful. So let us all try and join on Saturday, and that's going to be on 29th of May, 8:30 a.m. GMT. We are going to meet the same time, 8:30 a.m. Yeah, using the same link. Yeah, so we're also going to have the live stream on YouTube as well. So those of us who are watching us from YouTube, you can also join on Saturday 29th at 8:30 a.m. GMT, and you'll be able to also participate in the data challenge and see how others are also analyzing and then generating insight from data using the data analytics tools. So I thank you guys. And then Philip, I also thank you again. And then Pakwesi, I'm also grateful for the insight that you guys shared today. We are very grateful. So guys, see you next week, Saturday at 8:30 a.m. on the same platform using the same link. So thank you and all the best.
Thomas.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, I think the participant from India did very well, and the attendant.
Yeah, they did really well, sharing it and then also participating.
Yes. We thank them. We want them to continue sharing our posts and then like our YouTube channel. And we want to see them next week also.
Okay. So next week, guys, let us all try and then join next week for the data hackathon, like the data challenge itself. So you'll be able to learn how people are analyzing data and then how they can also share insights in slides. And then you can also improve your presentation skills as well from that section. So let us all try and join this coming Saturday at 8:30. Okay, so thank you all. Have a good day. Looking forward to next Saturday. Sure. So we are going to meet next Saturday. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay. Okay, bye.